Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew-Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew-Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew-Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew-Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew-Built Conicals. You can trust Brew-Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew-Built at morebeer.com.
Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
I poured it in my mouth and it just wasn't going down.
My first beer was an IPA, the best IPA I've ever drank, mostly because I brewed it.
If you have a scale that is good for measuring cocaine, you're probably good for measuring hops on cocaine.
You're scaring me.
I think the information is awesome and the audio sucks.
Make some sugary water, throw some yeast in there.
And you're going to drink good beer.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's fine.
God damn it, man. Oh, my God. Oh.
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Hello, beer lovers. Welcome to The Session. I'm your host today, Justin Crosley. Joining me, Jason Petros, Tasty and Beardy.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
And Bevo's here somewhere, too.
Maybe.
Hi.
Yeah, all here and ready to go.
We don't actually know.
Fresh off a little 1-week break, so I'm sure everyone's excited and just ready to be back.
Pumped up. Oh, so rested.
JP and Bevo spent their week off at Disneyland.
Oh, not a bad
That's
week.
true.
How did that go?
It was expensive.
It was expensive. Yeah.
A week to that.
Why? No more season passes?
No, that's why. Just they've raised the price. So, it's Disneyland. So every 3 times a year, there's a quarter raise here, 75-cent raise there. Just shit's real expensive.
I see.
In Carthay, which is like they're in downtown Disney, they have, or in DCA, California Adventure, they have that real nice lounge. You can get cocktails.
Yeah.
The best ride in that park.
That's right.
It absolutely is.
The Manhattan used to be $14. It's now $16.50.
Whoa.
For a Manhattan, for just a drink, a mixed drink.
It used to be reasonable. Now it's in a theme park.
With Bullet Rye. Like, it's not,
Yeah.
Bullet's good.
But it's not. Sure.
But it's not, right, it's not almost $17. So that was real hard, and we spent a lot of money.
But I had 5 cocktails while I was there, so I was feeling great.
So $115.
Right.
Our bill was $300.
$300.
Wow.
Like, we met Bev and Sam and Abby, and Bev already was 3 drinks in.
Nice.
And
my feet
we
hurt.
stayed for 2 more.
So she was enjoyable.
Yeah. Tara and I tried to catch up, and it was just like, I'll get the bill. And I saw the bill. I was like, oh, God, yes, you guys will get the bill.
Was it young Alice's first trip to Disneyland?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's exciting.
It really was. Yeah, it was cool.
Did you show her Wonderland?
I mean, whatever you showed her, she didn't see anyway.
Right. Yeah, and I was really stressing out about it, man. But honestly, I kind of realized that it's not so much because I was worried about if she would enjoy it or not. But she's 8 years old, right? Like,
you
so
could have taken her to Walmart and it would have looked the same.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I don't know what you're worried about.
Flashing light. I don't know because, am I supposed to be concerned about it? Am I not? I don't know. There's all these questions as a parent,
right?
And it was. She did really well in all the rides. She like smiled at a couple things, and just looking like really intently looking
terrified,
around.
like,
Never cried, never.
Nice.
So it was that was cool, and I was like, oh. this could work.
That's exciting.
How was joining the asshole stroller club?
It was really interesting, man, because it's a different perspective on doing Disneyland. Where if you walk around without a stroller, you think everyone with a stroller is a fucking asshole.
Yeah,
because they're just turning around, they're doing this, they're getting in your way. But as a stroller driver, everybody just tries to shoot across your path, and you're clipping heels, and you're like, I'm trying to walk. Yeah, I've actually had a wall of people walk towards me. Mm-hmm. And not get out of my way.
Right.
And I
no
had
one
to just
opened up.
Stop. Yeah. No, and they're staring at me. We're making eye contact. I'm like, what do you think's going to happen?
It's called Disneyland chicken.
I mean, I would say that in Disneyland's defense, that's being out in public in general now.
Correct.
Like, I noticed that just nobody gives a shit. It's one of the reasons I can't go grocery shopping or Walmart or any of those things. I just have to order everything online because nobody sees anything around them anymore. They're
oblivious.
And I think it always used to be that way, but I wonder now if we spend so much time on our screen where there really is nothing else around us, that then translates into the times when we're not looking at our screen, like walking around the grocery store. So it's become amplified that your surroundings are not relevant to your human experience.
We're like single tasking. We're just like me and the store.
Yeah.
And everybody else is just like fixtures here. Like
and it drives me insane because it is one of the things I'm very sensitive about, which is my surroundings. And am I talking too loud? Do I reach for an item first when someone's standing? Like, I'm always concerned that I'm being a dick.
Cart in the way.
Yeah, like, get out of the way, for God's sake.
That's Disneyland. If you want to feel like you are the nicest, kindest person on the planet, go to Disneyland.
Right.
And, I was telling Bev this earlier today. I was like, I felt like I had to be extra nice, especially to cast members, but just in the general public, even if they were kind of dicks.
Because you had a baby?
Because I had a stroller. And, like, now I'm a different obstacle in the park. I'm like,
and you're a novice. You don't have your stroller license yet either.
That's correct.
Yeah, he hasn't had his stroller long enough. He cares too much at this point.
Yeah, because excuse me. Oh, no, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. And, like, trying to smile so that way, because I feel like now I'm representing a smaller group of people that most people in the park kind of hate already.
Yeah.
People who drive with strollers.
Okay.
Like, for example, you've been in Disneyland, the like trolley tracks down Main Street.
Yeah.
And they kind of merge and swerve a little bit. The strollers the wheels get fucking stuck in those.
Okay.
Right.
I had no idea until I'm walking with Taryn and she's weaving left and right. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you getting hit on the head?
Already?
Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
She's like, no, the things are getting stuck. And
She's
then I'm
going to
like,
get an SUI.
and I'm like, oh. This is why stroller people on Main Street are super unpredictable, because you have to turn. And it's just a whole thing. I learned a whole lot of stuff.
All right.
Yeah. Also, fell asleep every night before 10 o'clock.
Really?
In the hotel room. Yeah, just wiped, man.
Is that not normal for you now anyway, even at home, because you're probably up early with the kid anyhow and done earlier?
No, I'm usually up till like midnight or so, but especially in the park, we try to be the last people. And Alice is teething, and then like a hotel room was a whole new experience for us with the kid.
Okay.
And she didn't really do that great in the middle of the night. A couple nights she was up several times crying, and then usually if we're at home and she's crying, we let her put herself back to sleep. But again, like you're saying, when you're out in public, you kind of try to be overly nice to people.
Okay.
Or like be aware of your surroundings. I didn't want anybody on either side of our hotel room to like complain or bang on the wall, so we had to go and console her.
What
so
a
we're
contrast
up at 5 o'clock.
What a contrast even to when we go out to beer events and we're in hotel rooms and we're just drinking until whatever, and Sam is playing the guitar. And, and now you're worried about a little baby voice.
Now I'm worried about crying, man. Yeah, it's a weird thing.
That's amazing. Well, I'm glad you guys had fun, and Alice got her first experience. Got to meet her namesake, I hope. Did she get a photo with Alice?
No, we didn't see her, and that ride is the line's super long all the time. But she actually loves Donald Duck. Like, we have this...
Nobody loves Donald Duck.
I know.
He loves Donald Duck, man.
Who is surprised that JP's kid loves a character that nobody else gives a shit about?
He was angry all the time. Like, someone gave her this kind of cheesy, like, toy box with all the Disney characters on it, and Donald is there, but not prominently.
Okay.
Every other character is represented very prominently, and she just always gravitated towards Donald Duck.
She likes the odd duck.
And no pants.
And no pants. She's a bohemian that way. And I don't know, man. They were really cool with the kid and spent a lot of time with her, and she just fucking smiled. She didn't smile bigger.
Wow.
That entire trip than when she was hanging out with Donald Duck.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, some weird character design thing. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear it. I really am. All right. Well, on today's show, we've got a lot. We got a packed show for you today. We're going to be speaking with Chris Burcher from Wolf Hills Brewing Company. They're out of Virginia. He's got a real take on small breweries, so we're going to talk about that hyper-local brewery thing we're seeing right now.
Nice.
With the amount of breweries opening up all the time, it's the hyper-local part that's really catching on. And maybe even, I haven't seen the statistics myself. I've just spoken to different larger regional breweries, starting to really dip into that market share, too, even among other craft brewers. So we're going to talk about that and other things. We've got some beer to try with Chris, so I'm looking forward to that. And then later in the program, our good friend Gary Glass is going to be on the show.
Oh, cool.
Well, the 40th anniversary of the American Homebrewers Association, and likewise the legalization of homebrew in America, is coming up in December. So he's going to come on the program and talk to us about what's happening at the AHA in terms of their big birthday party, as well as some of the current legislation issues that are on the docket and happening in homebrew in the U.S.
I
thought it all got fixed.
Everything's done.
Yeah. There's still more?
I guess. I haven't been clued in yet, but he put it on his agenda, and I'm always happy to talk about that.
Yeah, some states are further along than others. We're probably pretty good here.
Yeah, didn't Colorado only recently pass something about, like, quote, full-strength beer being sold in liquor stores that's like beer over 4% or some garbage like that?
I think the percentage was higher than that, but I do remember being surprised that Colorado, such a beer state, still had any issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll talk to us about that, or at least we can get some clarification about what it was.
Yeah, Warren.
I would love to see things more clearly, especially when it comes to law.
Yeah, never going to happen, but we'll keep doing our part here.
Gary's a miracle worker.
Yeah.
Lay hands on the boy.
So we'll talk to Gary and get the lowdown on all that, too. And I might even give you a little beer news later on. Saw an interesting story today. Thought it'd be worth talking about.
Yeah.
Now stomping on JP's territory.
I know.
God, man. God bless.
It's a quick story, anyhow. Maybe we'll cover that at the end, too. All right. Well, let me get through some announcements. As always, announcements are brought to you today by Drake's Brewing Company. You can go to drinkdrakes.com, and they've just opened The Barn in Sacramento, their newest location. It looks just absolutely amazing. I think we ought to jump on the Amtrak and go check it out one of these days.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is. I always get this wrong.
I'll have to talk to my boss and see if I can get time off. But
it's a massive location. I want to say something like it covers 2 acres or something.
That sounds
ridiculous. But they've got 25 plus beers on tap. They've got a cocktail area. There's a 400-seat beer garden with fire pits, and it's just another awesome location from Drake. So go to drinkdrakes.com and check it out. Click on The Barn. You can see some really cool photos there and see what's happening. And I think we ought to go make a trip out of it.
Absolutely. We should wait till after the fires, though.
Has Alice, the air quality here, if anyone's wondering out there, the fires are not near the Brewing Network studios.
No.
However, they are near some of your favorite places, including Sierra Nevada Brewery. And so we're safe from them, but other people really aren't. It's already turning into... I think the last I saw today is the second deadliest fire in the one... Well... Yeah, the one in Northern California is the second deadliest in the
tied, I think.
California. I think since like 91 or
We've got
something.
100 missing, so
it's going to climb.
And I heard most structures in history, possibly, of the state.
I mean, it has virtually wiped out the entire town of Paradise. Our thoughts go out to them. And it really sounded like a horrific fire to start with, and it's still going very strong. So, keep an eye on that and keep them in your thoughts, everybody Absolutely. Up there. Down here, though, and I imagine through the entire state, the air quality is just awful. In fact, when the fire started, and I'm pretty sure that it was this. There was ash falling in Concord.
Wow.
I walked from my car to work that day, and I didn't know there was a fire yet. It looked very apocalyptic outside just with the air quality, but there was all these kind of white flakes in the air, and I'm fairly certain it was ash.
Yeah.
And we're over 200 miles south of that. And it's really a bad thing, and so air quality's bad. I saw a lot of people. I saw a news van just around the corner here, and the newscaster was wearing a breathing mask because the air quality is that bad. You know, you can smell fire.
Yeah.
I'm a smoker anyway, but it doesn't affect my breathing. But I did think about, I think those things are really long-term effects. And I always make fun of the people with the masks, but they're probably a lot smarter than me because these things don't hit you right away when you're this far away. Maybe others can feel it more than I do, but air quality is awful all through California.
Yeah, well, and they got the big fire in Ventura County in L.A. Malibu is pretty much gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, when we were in Disneyland Saturday night, the Santa Ana winds, which basically, dumps the L.A. basin air into fucking Anaheim, suddenly it got super smoky and windy, and you get grit in your eye. It was terrible. But driving up, they were closing part of the 110, or maybe it was the 101 because of the fire. And so anyway, we got on the 5 anyway and cleared the Grapevine. And once you get into the Grapevine or down the Grapevine, that's when the smoke from our fire started. So all the way through the Grapevine, 250 miles away.
You're just meeting each other.
Yeah, it was just gnarly, dude. And that whole drive up smelled like smoke. And it was nasty. So it's very bad. But like you said, Sierra Nevada, it's close to Sierra Nevada. They closed down a couple days ago, but they reopened.
Okay.
And they have free meals to first responders and anyone who has been displaced by the campfire.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were even offering some clothes, too.
Yep.
That's a lot of people that are displaced. What a nice thing for them to do.
Yeah.
Well, take a look at other ways you can help if you're so inclined. I'm sure there'll be donation sites set up because a lot of people have lost their homes, businesses, you name it.
I think the Rare Barrel's doing something with that, too. Like, you go and buy one of the beers, and they donate a pint to a local charity to help with that.
Got it.
So there's a lot of stuff like that going on.
A lot of things you can do to help out here in California. We're a mess.
We kind of are.
Boy.
Also, Stan Lee died, speaking of messes.
I don't know who that is.
Stan Marvel, the guy who created
Mr. Marvel.
Spider-Man and fucking...
He just has one name?
Yeah. You're on a roll today. Anyway, it's just a bad day overall.
Bad day. All right, well, some things you can check out on the Brewing Network. We've got a lot of new shows out there. I told you about our Spanish-speaking podcast, Entre Cervezas. Feel free to share that with whoever you might think would be interested in learning about beer in another language. Shine Runner Craft Marketing, that's our pro podcast if you're looking for some marketing tips and tricks. And he covers a lot of things, including, not just how to market your brand, but how to compete on the shelves, how to work with distributors and keep them from, keep your brand from getting lost in the shuffle, how to address the salespeople in those distributorships. It really covers a lot of ground. You can find those both on Apple, iTunes, and the Google Play Store, as well as on our website, thebrewingnetwork.com. And coming up later this month, I think I'm going to get it launched. We've actually recorded several episodes. We've got a brand new show that's all about hops. It's called the Hop and Brew School Podcast, and we're really covering, just everything about everyone's favorite ingredient. And I'm really excited about that one. So be on the lookout for that. It's not available yet. We recorded a few episodes to get them ready, and should be able to get that out by the end of the month here.
Cool.
You can do your Amazon shopping with us. The UK can no longer do it. You guys didn't shop enough through our link. But those of you in the US still can. Just click the Shop Amazon link. It's on the left side of our homepage, and bookmark it. And then you can just hit that bookmark and do all your shopping. And it's just a great way to support the BN. Thanks to all of you who do that already. And with the holidays coming up, we sure could use more of you to do it. So please keep us in mind when you're doing Amazon shopping. It's just an easy way to support the podcast you love. Another way is, I don't know if you guys have forgotten about this, but, you can sign up for BYO Magazine through the Brewing Network. One of the few and great brewing magazines there are in the U.S. Covers everything home brewing on that one. And if you click our BYO link, also on the left side of the page where all of our Support the BN links are, it's another great way to, get a little something extra out of it, too. You can subscribe and join the BN Army. Hit the donate button anywhere on the page. And for as little as $2 $2 a month, you're entered into the More Beer monthly donation giveaway. And we give away $100 to spend at More Beer every single month to one of you. The more you donate, the more entries you have. And also just your recurring donations that so many of you have done for so long are super helpful. Don't forget about that. It's what keeps this thing going. And speaking of More Beer, this session is brought to you by the folks at More Beer, like it always has been since the very first day we started. And More Beer wants to change your malt game with Viking Malt. Hailing from Northern Europe, Viking Malt is a family-owned malt house since 1883, and it's the largest specialty malt producer in the world. Here we go, JP. Their base malts are malted from null-lox varietals that don't contain the enzyme lipoxygenase.
Lipoxygenase.
Thank you. Which leads to trans-2-nonenal in beer, for those of you who know what that is.
Got that one right.
That's responsible for those stale cardboard flavors. So head over to morebeer.com and brew with ingredients from the future. Tell them you love us, too. Now,
that's pretty good,
better.
man.
Hey, 3 weeks, man. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll change it by the time you get
I know.
rolling. Olin will be like, okay, here's what else we're selling.
Yeah.
That's my Olin impression.
All right, sign up for all our social media things over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We put the stuff that we love up there and send out messages and photos and all kinds of ways to stay connected with the BN. Send your feedback to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. Send your show ideas to bevo@thebrewingnetwork.com. She does a good job of listening to you and putting breweries on the air when you send them in, so it's a good thing to do. All right, how about a Twitter game?
How about it?
I like it.
All right.
Twitter game is brought to you today by the Wine and Hop Shop. You can go to wineandhop.com, and they've been locally owned in Madison, Wisconsin for over 40 years. Most of their items will ship within 24 hours, and BN listeners get $8 flat rate shipping on orders under 25 pounds. Just enter BN shipping in the notes field of the shopping cart, and your discount will be taken right after the checkout. Madison residents, you can order your homebrew supplies online at wineandhop.com and pick them up at Working Draft Beer Company, located on Wilson Street, right across from Central Park. They'll waive the shipping and give you half off your first beer. Wow. Go to wineandhop.com for that great deal, and also thank them for being a long-time and strong supporter of the Brewing Network. What's our Twitter game?
Well, I was thinking about branding the other day, as, marketing professionals are wanting to do.
Sure.
That's what I've read. Anyway, I wouldn't know. But I realized that, everything kind of needs a rebrand. Mm-hmm. Best Western Hotels.
What are they now?
They're Best Western, but they have their logo is different.
Okay.
It looks a lot like Dairy Queen, which is very weird.
Yeah.
So in that vein, everything needs a rebrand, and as such, we are ditching the name The Session.
Okay.
Help us rename our cornerstone show.
We've done this before in the real world. That's how we ended up with The Session. All right, rename The Session. I like this one.
Let's go.
Okay. Let's do a little feedback. Feedback's brought to you today, as always, by the Beer Law Center. Go to beerlawcenter.com and check it out. And John over there does a great job with our trademark, protecting it right now as we speak, as a matter of fact.
Really?
And he can do the same for you. He can also help you with your brewery paperwork filing, your legal filings, and all things legality when it comes to craft beer. Go to beerlawcenter.com and check it out. All right, today in the feedback, Jimmy J. from Wisconsin writes in, hey, when's the Rare Barrel podcast? Well, I assume he's talking about the Sour Hour, and maybe this email was sent before it actually happened, but last Wednesday
is the Rare Barrel show.
Last Wednesday, Jay in Moscow recorded 2 episodes from the Rare Barrel. It went great. It was a really good.
That's right, you were there.
Yeah, we went and I had just set up the equipment, but Vinny Chilurzo from Russian River was on. Cellarmaker was on there. Sante Adarius was on there. Almanac Beer was on there. I think I'm leaving somebody out, which I hate when I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Rare Barrel was probably there.
Rare Barrel was there.
Probably.
It was really cool. A lot of people came out for it, so thanks to everybody who did that. The podcast will post, I believe, later this month. It's just got to go in the lineup of things that they do. So be on the lookout for that. It's a good sour podcast you're going to want to listen to.
Cool.
All right, here we go. Here's a long but a good one, I think, at least information-wise, to give us a little something to talk about from Seth. Seth says, I've officially lost all faith in BJCP judging.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's been building for a while now, and the last 2 weeks have solidified it for me, he says. I entered 2 competitions with the same 2 beers. The 2 beers were from the same batches, bottled them the same day with my Blickman beer gun in a new, clean, soaked in Star San bottles and handled identically. In competition number 1, my barrel-aged Imperial Stout scored a 38, and my Berliner Weiss scored a 31. 2 weeks later, in competition number 2, my Stout scored a 22, and the Berliner Weiss a 40. He says, what the fuck? Makes no sense. 2 beers, 2 completely different scores. You guys have always said to enter beers in competition to get feedback, but how am I supposed to trust any feedback with a range like this? One judge says my beer sucks, and another says it's awesome. A funny, read as sad, he says, side note to this is I entered an IPA that had a bit of diacetyl issue in one of the competitions. It scored a 38. Just one more piece that tells me I'm done wasting my time on competitions. I have to finish by saying, he says, that I appreciate all the time and effort that goes into these competitions. I don't want to put anyone down. But if we're going to have BJCP certified judges that are supposed to give educated feedback, they need to be consistent across the board.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to let you guys chime in on this. I'll start like I normally do by just trying to give the big picture so that we can, narrow in from there. But my understanding of how BJCP sanctioned competitions work is that not every person that judges your beer might be a BJCP certified judge. And that's due to the fact that there just aren't enough judges out there. And that, of course, can vary from region to region. Can vary from the size or longevity of the homebrew competition. Yeah. If it's a new one, they might be harder to get. But there is always at least one BJCP judge at the judging table. I think that's the standard. So that there are some standards there, and then the judges, they discuss and come to a consensus. So that's just kind of the background on it. Now, we've heard this before, and I've talked to a lot of pro brewers about this too. Competitions like the GABF and the World Beer Cup could also see a lot of variance in how beers are judged. And it's why I think we've always said, and I know pro brewers say all the time, that there's a certain amount of luck involved as well. And those brewers that you see up there consistently have kind of really figured out how the judging game works, not just by repeatedly producing world-class beers, but maybe they've figured out which styles and which types of things that stand out in a beer make them do better in competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
On top of all that, judging is subjective, right? And on any given day, that subjectivity can change just like your own palate change. By the way, I'm not defending the BJCP. I certainly want to open this up to other opinions. I'm just, again, giving some of the layout. Any one of us, our palate can really be different on a day-to-day basis. Did you stay out drinking too late the night before? Did you have curry? Any number of things, for example, might make you less sensitive to diacetyl one day, to use his own example of an IPA that scored well with a little diacetyl. Then on a different day when all you would taste is diacetyl.
Well, and that's where order in the flight can come into play, because what if the beer before him was a diacetyl bomb?
Exactly.
And so maybe his little amount was masked because they were just assaulted with it in the beer before.
Yeah, or his IPA tasted more like an IPA than the other 3 beers before it. So maybe, like you said, one had diacetyl, the other was maybe more of a pale ale, and then by the third one, that just who knows what it was, they get to his beer and like, oh, okay, this is an IPA, and maybe I think just having organized competitions and judge competitions and talk to judges and doing Dr. Homebrew, of course.
Yeah.
It does all vary, and it is all luck. And to win, you kind of have to have this everything kind of just come together in this neat little package.
Yeah.
But it does start with you. You're bottling with a Blickman beer gun. It doesn't mean that your fermentation was good, or that things didn't develop over a couple of weeks, or that the package didn't sit over the weekend at the UPS, or that even the place that was storing it. I mean, either places that for a first round at NHC didn't even have refrigeration, so they were entries staying out for 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
In the summertime.
Yeah.
And that's going to throw some stuff off. So, we always talk about having a few bottles of that batch bottled up at the same time, and then taste when you know that the judging is going to happen, right? To see if you can pick it up, or when you're reading your notes, maybe refrigerate some and leave some out. Do it like a triangle test. Just taste all the different ways, and then look through your notes and see if there's anything consistent. If you can find a commonality, then that's really the problem. Judging is always going to be off. It's always going to be skewed. It's always going to be weird. Because, like you said, I mean, when I was running competitions for More Beer, there were dudes who showed up drinking coffee, and they'll go out for a smoke, and then they'll come and judge. And it's like, you can't. This is not how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So,
and you've also expressed your displeasure with some of the judges and judging that takes place in the past.
Yeah, it's very, very infuriating to get feedback from two people on one sheet, on one beer, both judges, and they contradict each other. They're supposed to talk about that shit. Right. Another thing is some judges think that their job is to point out flaws, and that's not their job. Their job is to explain how your beer was to style and how it was not to style. That's it. There's no feedback. There's no nothing. So it just depends on their training. It depends on who taught them, and because it's all volunteer run, nobody gets paid for it. So it's just like public schools. Some people know the Earth is flat. Some people don't.
Evolution happened or it didn't.
What's your take on this? You've been involved in more.
I got stacks of score sheets at home to go back and think about. What I have found when I was competing, and I probably stopped quite a while ago. I don't know if the judging pool is different now. It might be a little more diluted in terms of quality because there's a lot more competitions and a lot more judges are needed. That means there's probably more new judges. But again, like you say, they're always paired with a senior judge, and they discuss the beer, and they got to be within a few points of each other. It's not like one guy will give it a 20, then a guy give it a 40, and you go like, we'll make it 30. No, you have to come to some consensus about what you think the number should be. You might have to go even further up or further down, whatever. What I found is that if you know good beer yourself and you enter good beer, you're generally going to get good results. You're going to get something that's close. And then, of course, you'd always get the outlier, right? You'd look at the score sheet, and there'd be some judge that you may or may not know. I'd been in it a while, so I knew most of the judges. And you could see that some, over time, you could tell who knows and who doesn't know.
Right.
And their names are as follows.
Yeah. And I never contacted anybody or called anybody out, but I always would take their results with a grain of salt. Yeah. Sometimes they judge me way too high. Sometimes they judge me way too low. But, you just take it with a grain of salt. And then, there was always like some stellar judge that you get him and go, this is going to be great. This is Dave Teckham. He's going to love my beer because I know it's really good.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he did like it. So you get validated by when you know you've got a good judge. And that's kind of the problem with being like a first or second time entrant. And I got a sense our writer here hasn't been doing a lot of competitions. Otherwise, he'd be a little bit more callous about it all.
Right, already.
Yeah. But he's got a really limited experience there. I mean, just like all the luck items that JP listed, and I think he got them all. In terms of storage and how you need variation in bottling and handling and all that kind of stuff. Given that variability and then the variability of the people themselves, you got these 4 people that judge these 2 beers of his.
Yeah,
and there's just a lot of randomness there. If they came out the same, I'd be more surprised at the fact that they came out different. Now those are large differences. The big swing 10-point difference is a lot.
Yeah,
so he makes a valid point in his and when he's saying it is a lot of discrepancy. But they're human beings, and the guy they might have loved your beer the first time, and then it turns out they don't like it the next time.
Yeah, and I wouldn't give up on competitions like Seth is saying he might do, because as Tasty said, as JP said, you might find some consensus over time or with different things, and that stuff really is valuable.
Yeah, you need to look for trends.
Yeah, I'd be interested in actually, Seth, next time you do this, dude. Bottle like 12 of your beers or whatever, and then drink them over time. But drink one and make notes, and then 2 weeks later, let it sit on the counter, and then 2 weeks later, drink it again and take notes and see how your notes match up.
Yeah.
Because the beer could change over time, but also it'll be a good demonstration on your palate changing and how that does happen. It varies from day to day, and it's just it is what it is.
I would always bottle extra and then taste at least some of it on the day that the judges were judging the beer also to see how that.
And then when you get the score sheets back, it's always nice to have one where you can
because then it's really it really justifies your anger.
And then you learn.
It's like, fucking taste it.
Yeah.
It's a fucking 40 beer. It's not a 20.
Right. When you tear the score sheets in half, it's justified.
Right. With your butt cheeks.
Right. And then
done with this.
And if you do get a judge that knows what he's doing, and you'll eventually know who they are, or maybe he's a national ring judge. Go, a national ring judge judge my beer. Let me get out and see what he says. And you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
Because again, the better judge you are at beer, the better beer you're going to enter.
Yeah. Two things. I think Tasties, take it with a grain of salt, is good because it's, first of all, it's just beer. Who gives a shit? But also become a judge, become a BJCP judge.
Yeah.
That's going to teach you a lot about what judges actually look for. Email jp@thebrewingnetwork.com and get on Dr. Homebrew, and then we'll have two master. Actually, Brian Shar's a grandmaster. He's been on the past couple shows.
Oh, okay.
And we'll do 30 minutes on your beer, and you can ask questions.
Okay. All right. I got to get us moving. The last thing I'll just suggest to us all here in the studio is I do wonder if it's also time to revisit and do another BJCP show and see, I know, of course, they update the
guidelines.
The guidelines themselves, but I'm curious also if there are any current or past efforts to solve some of these issues we're talking about. And
we should try to
that.
get a couple, like David Teckham, like Tasty said, he's the dude in the Sacramento kind of area who tests teaches everybody. We can get Brian Shar and Brian Cooper on too, and just do a judge panel, I guess, on how to deal with that.
Because now there are new styles that weren't around. First BJCP
merged and all that kind of
stuff. All right, there you go, Seth. It's a lot of time on your email. Hope we help.
Yeah, don't kill yourself, Seth.
All right, and then real quick, one last one we get to here from Tim. He writes in that he just listened to the Plan B brewery episode of the session. And he says, I'm a little behind, so sorry if you've already followed up with this, but I may have some insight to your story in relation to the women's group lawsuit. And this was my own anecdote that I brought up. It wasn't about the lawsuit that took place with Eagle Rock. I added in another thing talking about how every small business owner gets sued, and sometimes for frivolous things. So that's what he's talking about here. He says, in relation to the women's group lawsuit, in which the breastfeeding lawsuit was brought up.
Oh, right.
And of course, I didn't say who that was. Just a friend of mine had talked about it, and I had mentioned that there was a safe and clean place provided, and the person I was talking about got sued because he wouldn't provide his office, his personal office, for that to happen, and was sued. Well, Tim says, in Virginia, employers must provide a safe, clean, secure, and sanitary environment for women to pump. So a bathroom not being a sanitary environment wouldn't be an acceptable place to pump. In my business, he says, we do what the manager in your story didn't want to do, and we give up our office for 15 minutes. So he says, if the laws are the same wherever this happened in the story that you referenced, then she probably had every right to open a lawsuit. And that's cheers from Tim. So, I guess you're right. It depends on what those laws are, and that might have been the case here, too. I'm not really sure.
I'll tell you what, dude, if you're a nursing mother or have a baby and you're a dad, go to Disneyland. They have this whole room that's super air-conditioned, super quiet, with nursing stations and breastfeeding, high chairs and all this. It was fucking rad.
Nice.
Man. 15 minutes just hanging out with the kid, no one in there.
Yeah,
it was really dope. They really do try to provide for people like that.
In a restaurant, why can't they just say you can leave and go to your car or do something? Just go outside. Why is that not okay?
We went to UCLA because Taryn went to school there, and they didn't really, I don't know if they had a breastfeeding thing, right? But she was just feeding the kid in the parking structure at UCLA. It wasn't a big thing. We're just sitting in the car.
It's not a big deal. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't have boobs that big.
All right, let me get us to a break here. But before we do, I want to let you know about our friends over in Philadelphia, Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. You can go check out Neshaminy Creek Brewing at NeshaminyCreekBrewing.com. And they've been brewing award-winning beers in Croydon, Pennsylvania. Forgive me, not quite from Philly, since 2012. Oh, I'm an idiot. From Philly, yes. Proud winners of 4 Philly Beer Scene Magazine Awards for Brewer of the Year and 3 for Brewery of the Year. 2-time GABF Vienna-style lager medal winner, 2013 gold, 2016 bronze. Also a bronze for their smoke lager in 16 and 17. They got a big-ass tap room with 24 beers on tap, 18 of which are rotating seasonal limited beers. Variety of beer styles from hoppy double IPAs to sessionable and poundable lagers and even oak-fermented saisons and sour beers. If you can't make it to Croydon, hit up their second location in Jenkintown called the Burrow Brew House, which features a full menu and 22 beers on tap, including guest taps from local breweries, meaderies, as well as Pennsylvania cider. Go check them out at NeshaminyCreekBrewing.com and let them know you heard about them right here on the Brewing Network. All right, with that, we're going to take us a little break here, and when we come back, we've got Wolf Hills Brewing Company from Virginia on the show. We're going to be talking to Chris Burcher. We'll learn about their beers and hyper-local breweries as well. Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
First Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Hey, motherfuckers, this is Doug from fucking Society. You're listening to The Session on the fucking Brewing Network. Fuck you.
All right, Doug. Yep. Welcome back to The Session, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. As promised, we got Wolf Hills Brewing Company on the air with us. But first, go get your free 21-day trial of the Beersmith brewing software. Go to beersmith.com, and you can download it for Mac or PC. It does everything and a whole lot more now. A brand new water profile tool, support for mead, wine, and cider, a mash pH estimation and adjustment right in the recipe builder, and new support for hop whirlpool editions, including time and temperature for each item. Go check it out, beersmith.com. You get your free 21-day trial, so you don't even have to take our word for it. Although you should. We're smart-ish.
Yeah, we know stuff.
Yeah.
Just ask us.
We have words. Take one, please.
We know things. All right. We should have Chris Burcher on the line from Wolf Hills Brewing Company. Welcome to the program, Chris.
What is it that is up?
I don't know. We're about to find out with you, my friend. Listeners, you can go to wolfhillsbrewing.com and follow along. Check out some of the things we're going to be talking about today. It's just a great place to learn more about Wolf Hills. Now, you guys are from, I'm going to probably butcher the name of the city, Abingdon, Virginia?
Hey, you got it.
I got it.
Yeah, it's at Abingdon.
Got it. Okay. How long you been open there?
2009.
Okay. You've been around for a little while, you guys.
It's our 10th year, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's exciting. And were you a pro brewer before or a home brewer?
No, yeah, obsessive home brewer like so many others.
Okay. How long were you a home brewer?
Probably 4 or 5 years. I was a stay-at-home dad. I needed a manly hobby. I got into beer and got obsessive.
Okay. I was just talking to somebody the other day about home brewing, and it's not exactly in decline, but it saw a little leveling out a few years ago.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And I had always attributed that to the amount of craft breweries that were opening up. It used to be that you kind of brewed to get the beer you wanted, and now almost everyone has a local brewery. But the person I was talking to, Chris, also kind of had another addition to that, and that is home brewing is now the gateway to pro brewing, and that people might brew for just a year or two, or gosh, some of them we've talked to might brew 4 batches and then decide, you know what, I'm quitting my job and going pro. What do you think about that, Chris?
Well, hey, in 2009, they called us all crazy.
Right.
So that's a completely bizarre concept to me, but it seems to be happening like that.
I think so. More and more of the breweries we talked to didn't homebrew for 10 years. Jamil Zainashev, one of our hosts and owner of Heretic, gosh, that guy brewed for 10 years or more before going pro. And a lot of times you skip that now.
I guess you can. I don't know. You know what I heard today or just recently, like on, I don't know if it was Untapped or TripAdvisor or something. A guy gave us 1-star rating and said, "This is another stupid microbrewery. It's the reason that I can't get good import beer anymore."
Oh, gosh.
I just heard that. Maybe he wasn't a home brewer. I don't know.
That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
But also, it's accurate.
No. That sounds like the smartest thing I've read on Untapped or heard of Untapped.
I think it was TripAdvisor, so I don't want to.
Was it your brewery, Chris?
Yeah, it was about the brewery. Paying for an event.
We used to do this thing from time to time where we would make our brewery guests read their bad Twitter reviews or rating site reviews, and that one would have been perfect. And you almost can disqualify almost all of the bad reviews. It's pretty rare that you see one that has merit. From a beer judge or another pro, for example. They're usually like, "I hate this IPA, and I don't know why they call it a lager."
4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah. Well, next time you're on the show, we're going to make you do that, Chris.
Hey, it's funny that you say that. I've been a listener since before the brewery. I mean, when I was homebrewing, you guys are a huge influence.
Oh, cool.
I actually emailed Shat probably 2010 to be on the show. But he said, you guys had just done a small local brewery. Why would they want to do that again?
Oh, my God.
Wow.
I mean, he's, again, accurate.
Chris, did I meet you recently? You told me that? Or that's like the third person who told me that Shat's response to them is, "Why would we do that again?"
Oh, man.
And I'm like, can't you find a more polite way to say, like, "Hey, we'll put you in the rotation. Why do you have to say, why would I do that again?"
Why would I?
No. And also, hi. We're a podcast. We interview breweries.
Right.
Could you forward that or send that back to us so then we could send it to him when he asks to be on the show?
There, right. Wow.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's not very nice. Well, we've got some of your beer in front of us. But before we taste it, I kind of wanted to jump right into something I found interesting in my show notes about you.
A cure for cancer.
And that would be very interesting. Yeah. And that's that you guys have grown over the years, but you're now actually shrinking distribution in order to focus more on your local market. And I wonder if you can talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, there's a lot in there. So I haven't had a full-time presence in the brewery for a lot of years. I started it. I sort of got divorced and had to get a real job.
Okay.
And then hire people to brew. And then over the last year or so, I came back to the helm as sort of a, I don't know, director, manager. I don't know what you want to call me.
Okay.
I have a brewer, and I do all the other stuff.
All right, hang on. I got to interrupt real quick. Did you get divorced because of the brewery?
No, but
okay.
My ex-wife tried to get the brewery.
Oh, I bet.
What's a woman going to do with a brewery?
Oh, God.
My partner said they'd put her to work. So.
Right. I bet that cost you a little bit of money to keep the brewery, though.
But it worked out in the end. But being sort of not fully involved for the 2015, the big years, was interesting. And sort of when I got back and looked at it, I said, we're spending too much money playing this game of trying to grow. It costs a lot of money to sell each other barrel. Every keg you might get $40 for, it costs you $39 to sell it.
Right.
And, that wasn't taking us in the good direction. And so, I thought, let's just keep what we got. We sort of know what our market is. It's got 9 years of data. I know who's going to come in. It's predictable year to year. The last couple of years. And so let's sort of like a short order cook, right? You order a hamburger, I make you a hamburger. I don't come in and make 40 hamburgers and hope 40 people come in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I mean, it's amazing how much different things are. We got more money in the bank and we're smaller than we used to be. It goes against everything you learned in economics in high school, right?
Yeah, that growing is the way to go, right? Just, create more market and sell to that market. But all right, we're going to come back to that because I want to talk about some of the specific things that you feel were allowed you to be more profitable. But so when you left the brewery, did you have partners that ran it for you?
Well, I was always the overseer. I just wasn't in the brewery every day. I had a job that was literally like I could throw a rock and hit the brewery from my office. So I was involved. But I do have two partners, and it's a nice little division of labor. One of them sort of runs the events and the tasting room side, and I sort of make sure I run the brewery side.
But you had left your other job and worked full time at the brewery for a period of time when you opened.
Well, I was a stay-at-home dad, so I didn't have another job to leave.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I did it in my spare time. See, that was the plan, right? I mean, the sugar mama allowed me to work for free until the brewery was built and my kids got older and I had a job.
Got it. Okay. But at the point then that sort of falls apart and you have to go get another job. I'm curious about that difficulty. I mean, just in your head. I mean, here you have what I presume was a successful brewery. It's still open, but you're like, I got to go get a day job.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was terrible having to hire somebody to do the job I had created for myself.
Right. Right.
It's in the book. I've written on ebook on this, and that's in there. It's it was not easy, but I found that the first guy I hired was great. I mean, it was perfect. He was real touchy-feely, just a real good spirit. He had worked on a similar system, homebrewer, wanting the shot.
Okay.
And so that worked out really well. And then over the years, we hired a couple more brewers, and maybe those were good or bad ideas, depending on how you look at it.
Right.
But by the time I came back, the brewery was a completely different place. It had grown, on its own, right? So.
And by the way, listeners, Chris's book is called A Good Hobby Mashed, Journey from Homebrewer to Craft Brewery Owner. And I believe you can find that over on Amazon. Is it just digital or?
Yeah, it's just a 99-cent ebook. It was
cool.
I could self-publish it that way. But yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
No, of course. Hey, if you're looking to do what Chris did here, go check it out. If nothing else, you're probably going to get some pretty damn good anecdotes about going from homebrewer to craft brewery owner.
What kind of scale of growth are we talking about? Like, how big was it, the brewery originally, and then now where are we talking?
Yeah, we were first couple years. Well, it was a one-barrel system first couple years, and I did about 100 barrels for a year and a half. And then we're just selling growlers, couldn't sell pints in Virginia. We thought we were going to be distribution only, which is just crazy to think about now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But we discovered growlers we wanted to do all kegs, discovered growlers, did 100 barrels, decided we were going to buy a brewery, a real brewery, and bought that. And that took a year to get running. And by the time I made the first batch of beer on that system, actually trying to learn it, that's when I had to get a job. So
wow.
I made 3 batches of beer. 2 of them were sellable, and the other guy came in, and we had to sort of figure it out together.
Man,
luckily.
Can I get your shrink's name for whatever antidepressants he gave you during that period of your life? Because that sounds awful.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty bad, but it's gotten a lot better. I mean, weather the storm, right? I mean, that's one thing we've done. We had a lot of other stories like that. We had to buy a partner out. You know, a lot of crazy things happened, but we weathered those storms, right? So we are where we are for some reason, I guess.
Well, it kept it interesting anyway. I've said on this show that, those days in our garage where it's still a struggle sometimes, but like we were really struggling just to be anything are also a little more fun than they are now. So I guess it kept it interesting.
Yeah. That's the thing about this industry. I mean, I'm as interested now about what's happening in the industry, way beyond us, as I was in learning about what mash temperature does to attenuation. I mean, it's a lifetime's endeavor that's fascinating on so many levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe not as fun as it used to be.
Yeah, and that's all relative, right? Maybe when we get even older and hopefully smarter, we'll go, no, that sucked. It's fun now.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Are you going to write a book, Justin? A memoir?
Mine's going to be more like Kanye West's book, where it's like, 4 words per page.
Podcasts be easy and shit.
Yeah, and it'll mostly be complaining with a few things of like, hey, stop complaining and enjoy it or something like that. That's my book.
I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
Isn't that what all memoirs are?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, all right. Let's just do a little transition, and we'll go back to this. But we got, like I said, a couple beers in our glass, and the first one we're trying right now is your Old Ice House Farmhouse Ale.
Perfect.
Tell us about this beer.
Well, the picture on the can, number one, is of the brewery. It's an old ice house. It was built in like 1890, like right after the Civil War.
Got it.
And we haven't changed it a whole lot. And that's an interesting story that I get. Those beers are all the beers that we packaged. That's why I sent them.
Okay.
And the Ice House was one where our distributor said, "You guys need something crisp and drinkable, something for my market, right?"
Yeah.
Still very BMC. And we said, "Okay, we got an idea. We'll do this sort of Saizani farmhouse ale. It's a little bit interesting, but it's still drinkable." And they didn't buy any of it.
Oh.
So what's interesting about that beer is I had bought whatever 10,000, 4 pallets of cases, whatever the minimum was at the time of cans.
Right.
And I had cans left over. And so I said, we got to use these cans. So we're going to do this beer again and put it in cans, and we'll sell them at a tasting room.
Now, why didn't the distributor want
it? That's a huge conversation. I mean, I don't know. It's a combination of things. I mean, as big breweries started taking over more shelf space in grocery stores, they pushed us out.
Okay.
And so we went from having space to do 3 or 4 brands to, you got your 2, that's what you get. We're not buying any more. But what was interesting about that is they said, please do this, we'll buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
A couple months went by, we made an investment, and then they didn't buy it.
By big brands, are you saying macro beer, or are you talking like regional craft breweries?
This was about the time when all the expansions, so I'm talking Stone, Elysian, Ballast Point, Devil's Backbone for us, as the big breweries got on the Bud trucks.
Okay.
They took space.
Well, first of all, what a kick to the junk for them to ask you to do it and then say,
It's what it is. I mean,
what were the 2 they let you have? Obviously an IPA, right?
Yeah. So the honey cream ale and our troopers, the yellow can and the blue can that you have.
Got it. Okay.
Have been our, and we never. Well, we can talk about those beers individually when we get there.
Yeah, we're going to try the IPA next, and then we're going to save. We've got some cream ale from you that we're going to try at the end of the second segment. Because now I was wondering if they maybe said no because it's a farmhouse, but I was going to point out that they asked you for something crisp and light, and I think you've produced that, and I think the farmhouse quality of this beer is somewhat subdued.
Well, yeah, and you know what? It's because it's and this is another big part of my sort of philosophy is I'm frugal, and I have to be, and that is actually dry yeast, and I can't get and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I mean, I think for our market, that beer sells great out of our tap room in 6-packs, but it's as much as I can get out of the dry yeast.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, but I like it subdued. I'm not the biggest farmhouse fan, so I like the just subtle quality coming out there.
Just enough to know it's there.
Yeah.
I like how carbonated this is. It's very spritzy.
Yeah.
Almost champagne-like.
Yeah.
It's the best we can do, too. It's as high as we can get it.
Really?
And,
I don't think you should go higher.
All three of those beers are for my market. I mean, those are the beers that people drink. It's what people are sort of telling me they want. You know, like a lot of breweries, we started off brewing what we wanted. And in 2009 and 10, that was ridiculous, right? So we had to dial it way back.
What were you brewing then that had to get ridiculous?
Well, I mean, it was all double IPA back. You know, that's what I wanted to drink. And even our amber ale was like, you know, an India Red Ale or whatever at the time. Big stouts. We went way too far to the other side, and our clientele needed a little help.
Got it.
So, yeah, and it's funny because the other two beers haven't changed in probably 9 years, and I'm at the point now where it's sort of like, what do I do about this? Am I still going to continue to package these things because it's what people buy? Can I get away with pushing the envelope a little bit more, feeling it out?
Got it.
Are there other small craft breweries that are local to you or very close?
It's crazy. There are 15 within 45 minutes. And in that 45-minute radius. So in that circle, there's probably fewer than 100,000 people.
Wow.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's funny because Adroit Theory was on a while back, and they were talking about being in a rural town of 10,000, but they're outside of D.C. You know, it's like
right.
You've got 3.5 million people within 30 minutes.
That's a good point.
We don't have many people, so
wow.
The number of breweries per capita is insane.
Were you one of the first 10 years ago?
We were the second.
Second. Okay.
Yeah.
Bastards.
No, it's funny the way market share works, and I think we're a really good sort of indicator of what's going on in the world because we do represent sort of where those things start. You know, 15 breweries is too many for our population. And so can you scale that up and say what's too many for L.A. or, you know, what's too many for Richmond or whatever? But what I'm seeing, I saw an effect on the shelves from the macros getting bought out. And I see an effect in the tap room as the local breweries nearby opened up. I mean, it's pretty straightforward math.
Right.
I'm not complaining. It's just it's real.
I want to come back to a little bit more of that in the second segment. But right now, I want to talk about what specifically you think helped out your bottom line when you pulled back distribution.
Well, I mean, it's fun. Dry yeast is one thing.
Okay.
You know, just being really careful about what we order based on what I know I'm going to sell. So having an idea of our demographic and what the patterns are, which, you know, you need data to get. You can't, I don't know if you can do that before you open a brewery.
Right.
But I have an idea what the numbers are, how much, you know, stock to keep, getting out of loosening my hop contracts a little bit. Because, man, I was contracted for hot enough hops for 25 years.
Wow.
That's crazy, yeah.
So the wild card in that scenario with your distribution was larger. Was that that data wasn't so concise because you didn't know how much distributors were going to take or that you would sell. You only had hard data on your local market. Is that about right?
Yeah, it is. And there was a time, 2015, we were going to buy a 20-barrel system and expand and sort of take advantage of to Beardy's question, you know, we went from 100 barrels to 300 to 600 to 1,200 the first few years. So things were looking really good.
Yeah.
Luckily, we didn't make that jump because that's when everything changed and sort of shifted what we could sell. You know, that's our big thing is our market is finite. We don't attract new people because there ain't no new people coming.
Okay, right.
They're not moving here. There's a tourist industry, but that's pretty static year to year. I can predict what that's going to be.
Okay.
Are the beer drinkers trendy, or are they more just these are the styles we know and we like, and we don't really care about what everyone else is drinking?
It's like 80-20. I mean, I have the beer geeks, the hazy, you know, but think about it. So you got the hazy bros in Boston, let's say. They represent 1% of the general population. But that still may be 50,000 people. Here it's 2.
Got it.
So they're not going to buy 7 barrels. but those beers actually do sell. You know, we do. I've got 14 beers on tap, and a lot of them are crazy, but just not at the rate. People are selling them.
So, JP, are you going to put Abingdon, Virginia, on your moving list since there's only 2 beer bros out there?
Yeah, I'm good with that. You know, we'll see the proliferation of flat-billed hats. That's also the other.
Yeah,
they go hand in hand. One precedes the other.
It's a telltale sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
That the wave is coming.
You have an infestation.
The flatter the bill.
Yeah.
All right, let's try your IPA too before we have to take a break. Tell us about this one.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's it's a very much 2010 pre-West Coast meets East Coast IPA. I mean, it's orange, it's all C hops, and I largely haven't changed it because again, we bought 4 giant stacks of cans of that beer, and I'm running them out. They're going to be gone in January, so I'm at the point where again, do I change this? Do I?
Right.
I've got 3 other IPAs in the tap room that do better. But what's interesting about that beer is it used to have Columbus in the dry hop, and a brewer friend of mine in Johnson City that's getting ready to start a sour and IPA brewery said, yeah, your Trooper's really great, but every once in a while I get some that's oniony. And I thought, that's interesting. He's like, oh, yeah, old Columbus hops can go oniony on you. So I come back and I go through all my Columbus hops, made another beer with it, and damn, all I got was like spaghetti sauce.
Okay, wow.
Which I never knew. I never knew that could happen. So we took that out of the dry hop, and that sort of solved that problem.
Yeah, I was just mentioning a new hop show that we've been doing. We haven't made it public yet, but we were just talking about that, and some of the hops. The more of the desirable qualities the hops have, the oils that you want, some of the strong terpenes that you want, the faster they are to also go awry with things like onion and garlic, among other things.
Interesting.
So, so all of those hops that we've loved for years, the C hops kind of fall in that category that if they're not kept in the right conditions constantly, they can very quickly turn into some of those flavors.
It's fascinating. You know, we have another beer we call For Science, an IPA that we're learning. It's sort of our experimental beer, so I can learn about some of these things, what hops do over time, what happens when you add them during fermentation, all those other things.
Right.
It's amazing. After 9 years, I know less than I did when I started.
Right.
That's possible.
Isn't that how it goes? Well, I like this hybrid IPA, if that's what I can call it, between the West Coast and the East Coast. It is not overly bitter. And this is a dry yeast beer also?
Yep. That's it's all. I use all fermentus bricks.
Okay, because I think you got your fermentation down on this. It's dry. I feel like you almost can't go wrong with C hops, but it's not. It's not that old school East Coast IPA. Sweet and not dry, and like you said, it's not quite completely West Coast where all the hops just kind of rip your face off. It really is in the middle, and I like that.
It's actually enjoyable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
People around here say, well, yeah, that tastes like beer. They're meaning Budweiser or Miller Lite, and it's like, yeah, it does. And I, personally, I don't want that, but
right.
That's what people. And I'm noticing too, as my hop contracts those hops are old, and so I'm learning that my dry hopping rate needs to come up a little bit. I'm not getting as much out of that beer as I'd like.
Yeah, I could see that
anymore.
I mean, it does have a nice aroma. One of the things I like about the C hops, and especially because it can kind of contrast with a lot of the other IPAs, it's not just a citrus bomb. There's a lot of the flowery, herbal notes, I think, that come out of this beer. That it's a nice change. It actually, to me, makes it stand out among IPAs. But I could see how you might want to adjust the dry hop a little bit.
Yeah, and again, we have other beers for that. It's just a matter of what do I want to do with this one.
Yeah. Now, is your plan to just kind of sell the cans out of this one and then maybe have a new flagship, or?
If we can get away with that in distribution. I'm doing, I don't know, 400 or 500 cases of this a year So if I don't know what to believe, I want to sub in something that's cheaper to make, that's more shelf stable. So I had a guy a couple months ago email me with a trooper, and he was, just asking why it wasn't hoppy or something. And I said, flip the can over. Can you look at the date? And it was from 2016.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's not when you want to be drinking IPAs that are 2 years old.
Yeah.
No.
So if I can't control that, I'm looking. I'd like to replace it with something, maybe a Kolsch Pilsner, something that's more shelf stable.
Yeah.
But if I can't do that, I don't know. I'll keep making it. I'd really like to shift to more tasting room sales, but I don't know. If you can't get it in the store, will people come and buy it out of the tasting room only?
Right.
I don't know if that's a thing for us. There's certainly not going to be lines.
Right.
Well, often those are two different sets of people: the people that drink out and the people that drink in.
Yeah. But you're allowed to sell pints out of the tasting room now?
Yeah. 2012 they changed the law, so yeah, we got a bump in tasting room, and that stayed pretty consistent over the last couple years.
Nice.
After it slowed a little bit.
Good.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I agree with your customers on the Trooper. It does have a good beer character. What are the base? Is there two different base malts? Two base malts in a beer?
Yeah, I think it's that one. We just switched from sort of pale malt to 2-row to try to lighten it up a little bit, and Munich care malt.
Okay,
that's it.
Yeah, that's what's giving it that good beer backbone character.
C40, yeah, there's little C40.
Yeah, I figured something like that. Yeah, I don't see it having an East Coast balance. I see it more like
It's dry like a West Coast.
It's dry like a West Coast.
But I guess I'm just saying it's not. It's also not a hop bomb like a West Coast.
Well, no, West Coast IPA is a hop forward, really hop forward, obviously hop forward beer. But we make beers just like this out here all the time. I can go outside to the bar here and get a beer that's similar balance.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Tasty. That's good to know. I don't get out to California very much.
I'll save you a trip. Just send me $100.
Well, you just finally got to quit your fucking job, so vacations will happen again soon. Can I just say also that I really appreciate your honesty about costs and cutting costs. I think it's really refreshing on here that I think breweries do that, but don't like to talk about it because it's not very sexy. Mm-hmm. And of course, we've had other brewers on, and sometimes we praise them too, who are like, we don't care what it costs. We, whatever the best absolute thing is. But of course, I'm the one who pays for that, so of course you don't care. I mean, the cost of your six-pack went up $3 or $4, right? And there's a place for that. But I just like that you're talking about some of the specific things you did, and even with this beer, and I said, will you replace it? You'll say, well, yeah, but I'd still like to make a cheaper to brew IPA if I do. And you're a business owner after all, and not everybody on here talks about that because everyone's supposed to be a beer nerd if you're a craft brewer. Never mind a business person.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, the best compliment I've gotten from my book from several people is that I'm honest. That's like vulnerable.
Right.
And I don't know any other way to be, because I don't hear these things being talked about very often.
Yeah. Well, and another guy who's like that, at least he was on our show, and he was in his book, is, what's his name from Lagunitas?
Tony McGee.
Tony, and I wonder if this was something you experienced too as you were in the distribution game. Is that he really outlined to me on the show here about robbing Peter to pay Paul,
right?
When you get into the growth game, and that everyone thinks, right? Like everyone thinks, oh, you're selling more beer, you must be doing great. But he was like, man, when you look at the time it takes to get the ingredients, then brew the beer, then get it on its shelf, then recoup the costs after everyone has their net 30 invoice. There is no money for months when you start producing a beer, and that didn't even count the cost of equipment, by the way, in the growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really hard. Like I just paid maybe $5,000 to can. With those beers were canned, I think last a week ago or something like that.
Okay,
and I won't see the accounts receivable on all those for months.
Right.
So that if cash is king, that's a crappy flow.
But if you have any crimes like Tony admitting to tax evasion, now is the time to just air him out.
Not intentionally.
Did he just do that?
Oh, he talked about avoiding the IRS and ignoring letters and not paying.
Yeah, right. Okay.
No, that's one thing. One of my partners is a lawyer and the other one is a judge. So We tell the ABC and the TTB and we're like, comply, comply, comply. That's our mantra. That's all we want to do.
Right. So now, though, with your tasting room model available to you, that long period of time where you see cash back from your investment is much shorter, right?
Yeah, that part works. I mean, I wish we had more traffic in our tasting room, but with so many and such a low population, I'm only going to see what I'm going to see. And this is crazy, but we still sell all three of those beers and other pints for $4.
Wow!
Because we're terrified, and I've squeezed in. I've got a Goza, I've got a New England IPA that I'll get a premium price point for a smaller pour, but people flip out.
Right.
Because these are our neighbors. It's our community. I know everybody. That's
right. I didn't even think about. I thought you meant they flip out just in general, but they literally could flip out to you as you're taking out the mail.
Well, if I raise the price of a pint from $4 to $5,
right,
I might actually lose business.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. This is something those of us on the West Coast here take for granted because prices are just high. And in California, in the Bay Area, we're so used to it that you just it just is what it is. And when I go to places where a pint is $5 or I'll tell you what, $6, I notice it. I'm like, oh man, someone's getting tipped tonight.
Yeah. Well, our tasting room staff does really, really well.
Good. Yeah, well, and that's, you know what? That's part of the economy, too.
That's why we're in business.
Yeah, those folks that work for you. And, we even noticed it when we opened the Hop Grenade in Colorado. And I wouldn't say that there's a massive difference in pricing, but enough that we had to really adjust and take a look at that because we still like to buy all the beers the different beers that the beer nerds want.
Right.
And unfortunately, our price point for that doesn't change much from California to Colorado, but what we can sell it for certainly does.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's a good point that you make. You got to look out for that stuff, too. Man, $4 pints, though. JP, I hope you're making a pros and cons list about Abingdon.
Or just a pros list.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I paid $4 for a pint.
You don't even see happy hour prices at $4 a pint.
No, not at all.
Sometimes I think we're the only brewery that sells beer at $4 a pint.
Right.
Well, then you're dumb.
That's pretty much an
we are
exception.
certainly that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will take this opportunity to self-promote. One of the ways we also helped our Colorado market is you can go for $2 Tuesdays, and several of our taps, I think like 2, 12, and 22 is what we do.
Yeah.
Are $2 on every Tuesday at the Hop Grenade in Fort Collins.
You know what's great about that? Is that it rhymes.
So, yeah, that's right.
You can remember it.
We're marketing geniuses.
Right. One day it's a $2.
Yeah.
Don't get sued by the $1 fans, though, for not allowing them to pay for $1.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, but when's the last time you saw something that wasn't a Pabst for $2, man?
No doubt.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So go Hop Grenade Fort Collins if you find yourself out there on a Tuesday.
Miller High Life on taps 2, 12, and 22. Right.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Chris, I got to get us to a break. Can you hang out?
Yes, sir.
All right, very cool. We're going to take a quick break. Before we do, we got a new company to tell you about, a partner of ours that is just awesome, and they're called BrewSwag. You can go to brewswag.com, and they're owned and operated by passionate homebrewers and craft beer fanatics. They offer like-minded and quality shirts, bottle openers, drinkware, and tons more now in production. And they do it for the love of great beer. Go to brewswag.com and enter coupon code BNARMY to get 10% off. Everything there is designed by homebrewers and craft beer fans, and they've got, like I said, new products in development. You can also sign up for their newsletter for exclusive deals and product announcements. And I went browsing the site. They got a lot of really cool shirts in there. There's one, a good shirt that just says use more hops, and it's just a dude with a homebrew kettle dumping hops all over the place.
Get it.
Go check it out at brewswag.com. You won't be disappointed. Use your coupon code BNARMY for your 10% off. And then, hey, be sure to thank them for coming over here on the Brewing Network and keeping this show alive.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll do this. We'll take a very quick break. And when we come back, more with Chris from, of course, Wolf Hills Brewing Company. Go to wolfhillsbrewing.com and check it out. And we'll be right back with more on The Session.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewers Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy.
Hey, this is Gabriel from Half Acre in Chicago. You're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And thank you to iDip for supporting this program. Their Smart Brew Water Testing Kit incorporates a revolutionary photometer system, which is the first and only one on the market with its own app. For home or commercial use, it takes great water to make great beer. It's the only meter on the market that runs water tests with no math needed on your part. You can email the results to the rest of your fellow brewers or post to your Facebook page and let your homebrew club get in on the action with you. It'll test over 40 different water quality aspects, and 4 come preloaded, plus more available. Things like total alkalinity, chloride, calcium hardness, pH, sulfate, and a lot more. Just 4 mil of water needed for each test. Brewing Network special. Podcast listeners use coupon code TBN10 at checkout and save $10 on either the standard or advanced Smart Brew Testing Kit. Go to smartbrewkit.com and check it out. All right, we still got Chris on the line with us. Hey, Chris.
Hey.
We got more beer in our glass from you,
Me too.
which is exciting. Oh, good. What are you drinking?
Well, I had all of these beers, so I just pounded 3 beers. No, I'm kidding.
Right, you had to get through.
Hell yeah.
You know, I hadn't tasted the new honey cream ale and the Trooper that we just canned, except before we canned it.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure.
What did you think of the Trooper? Did you agree with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, like I said, that's a beer that was great 10 years ago, and I'm still. It's not. Yeah, it's not what I want to drink, but people like it, and that's what it is.
I will say this. If it was that dry 10 years ago, you were already ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough.
Right.
It's not intentionally, I'll take it.
Yeah. All right, well, we do have a couple more, but before we get to that, I wanted to go back to this kind of, small and hyper local, like you've done, versus even regional, and then macro beers. You talked about how recently even the regionals kind of have taken shelf space in your local area, and I just wonder if you can talk about how you think that's all going to play out, or even how you think it's playing out now for everybody.
Yeah, my big thing is this use of the word small. And this is timely because the Brewers Association has just sort of redefined their what a small craft brewery is.
Oh, what is it now? Do you remember what they said it is now?
I think it's 6 million.
6, okay.
And the big thing is, does it have to be beer, or can it be these other beverages, sparkling?
Oh, right. Sparkling hot water, for example.
It's a strange thing, but what blows me away is, so we make less than 1,000 barrels a year, and 95, 96, 97, at 7,000 breweries, 97% of them are like us.
Yeah.
And these top 3% are making 95% of the beer in the craft brewing segment. So it blows my mind that, 2 years pre-Heineken, Lagunitas was small.
Right.
Or Sam Adams at 6 million barrels is small.
Yeah.
There's orders of magnitude. So the big take home is those breweries are really closer to Anheuser-Busch InBev than they are to us.
In their segment, they are. Yeah, do you think it's somewhat ironic that the stat you just gave, that 3% of craft brewers own 95% of the market, whereas that statistic never used to get thrown out at all. It was always that 1% of all the beer sold is by craft brewers.
We're all in this together. I don't know, but I think hyperlocal is what's happening. Because some of those breweries are trying to grow and they can't do it. Some of them are closing. We just found out just today a brewery in Roanoke, maybe a couple hours from here, closed. But it's a classic case, the Green Flash sort of example. They started too big, and all of these things happened to them. The chute's open there, and Ballast Point is just down the road. So
yeah.
It's happening, and I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm not bitching about the regional breweries pushing us off the shelf, but it is a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing,
which is inevitable, I guess, in any industry where this starts to happen, right?
I think we're lucky that there are enough people in small communities that still want what we have, just like they want what these other people have. The trick is again the short order cook thing. You got to figure out what you are and what you can sell and what you're going to do, and what people want you to be, and be that, so that you have money in the bank.
Well, and to me, that message that we were kind of referring to, where craft brewers, at least in my whole career until recently, were always, it's us against them, make sure you buy local. And then, as some of even my friends' breweries have been sold to larger companies, to the macro brands, I've always said, well, that's also a case of the American dream. A person who started small and hit the big time and sold for $500 million or whatever it is. Sure. But the one thing I have always held on to that bothers me is if any one of those very same breweries used that us against them messaging on their way up, and that bothered me. If you're gonna convince me and convince your fans and convince your consumers that part of why we should purchase your product is that us against them, and then you pull that rug out from under me, that to me was the part that was deceitful. But I think my point here is that messaging still lives on today, because the breweries that are popping up all the time, like you're mentioning, are these hyper-local, small-town breweries.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot to say, or there's no voice for us, right?
But it was already there, and so now consumers are like, hey, here's our local guy, and I've already bought into it for 10 years, so I'm going to go to you.
Right. Thank God for you.
Yeah.
And now the breweries that are kind of pushing you off the shelf are also funding the BA. That's kind of your advocate. Also, so there's kind of this really tricky situation that the small craft is in. I guess we need another organization.
Sometimes I think there needs to be another organization that represents the truly small. Mm-hmm. And this whole craft thing, I liked it when it was micro, or nano, the whole micro nano thing, because that nomenclature suggests an accurate grouping of what we are based on what we do.
Right. I think that organization should be called the Brewing Network. And, but
it has been my entire career.
But I will also admit freely that we are the first ones that will totally sell out if it becomes advantageous.
Right.
So
you got $20. You got Wolf Hills.
Yeah. So we'll be your organization for like the next 6 months, and then you should get rid of us.
Well, it's funny. I want to say one thing that I just think is hilarious. You know, the selling out thing is great. It makes me angry in a lot of ways. But really, yeah, these places were built to sell. It's like when Devil's Backbone here sold. We all knew that place was built to sell. But they, beyond their ownership, they were incredible. What they were doing and what they did. So can I knock them for that? Am I angry at them? No. It's yes and no.
Yeah.
But what got me was when Wicked Weed sold out. And I'm a musician, so I use a lot of musical analogies. And when Wicked Weed sold out, it was like the Grateful Dead sold out.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
If your neighborhood band gets big and gets a record contract or whatever, and you stop liking them, that's one thing, and you get over it, and maybe you still buy the records. But if the Grateful Dead had done that, a significant amount of the population would have lost their minds.
Right.
That's what it was like when Wicked Weed sold out.
And not just from the LSD.
And is that because their messaging was about how cool and not industrial they are?
Well, it's what you just said. Yeah. They played that card really hard.
Yeah.
And I think attracted that group of people that bought into that type of thing.
Right. See, yeah, and that's kind of my point. Like, you use the example Devil's Backbone. For me out here on the West, it's Golden Road. And if you had half a brain and did any research into the people who started Golden Road, we're talking about Yale graduates here who are always business minded, and it was it was a very easy prediction to make that they were building a brewery to be sold.
Right.
And that one doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit. But you're right. If I've been told my whole time as a fan that it's us against them and we do it for this and you should too, and then that rug gets pulled out, I guess I don't hate them. Things change. People, things in life change. I've also a big check is waved in front of your face. I'm not angry. It's just that's the one thing that I can't justify. Where I go, well, that was kind of a dick move, is all.
That's what makes me over anything stay away from brands like that. It's and every regional brewer, not regional, but mid-sized brewery that has a decent distribution, I think has to rely on that craft beer definition. If you call yourself craft beer, it's not just the size or what ingredients is in it, but it's also the movement that, frankly, people like us have helped build.
Right.
We are a big part of that. Homebrewers is what I'm talking about. And so if you claim to be craft beer, then you're automatically part of that, whether you want to be or not.
Yeah.
And then when you sell, there's a tweet going around that Tony McGee, said in 2013, selling one's brewery is selling all of one's best friends' careers, their hearts, the portion of their lives they've spent working for you. And it's like, that's the kind of hardline shit you can't fucking take.
Right.
You can't go, it's just you're selling everyone's heart.
He drew a few too many lines in the sand.
Well, in Tony's defense, this is hardly a defense. He didn't say he would not do it. He just was pointing out what he was doing.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's true.
And frankly, the more outspoken one, like the one left that would really make people flip their lids and then probably even make me disparage them finally, because I try not to do that to breweries in general. It'd be Stone, right?
For sure.
Their entire branding is built on this.
Yeah. But their also branding was built on don't drink fizzy yellow beer, and they have a bunch of it. So, all that shit happens.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see. All right, let's talk about your beer.
Let's go.
Now, before we talk about that, so I have two different batches of your honey cream ale.
Thank you, Beth.
And we're going to try 87 first, but I wonder if you want to tell us now why we're trying that over batch 62.
Well, okay, so, batch 6, well, no, I say we try the first one, and then let's be surprised.
Okay. So the style, obviously, is a honey cream ale. It's called White Blaze, right?
Yeah, so that's the Appalachian Trail runs over here, kind of like the Pacific Northwest Trail, hiking trail. And the white blazes indicate the trail marker. And so our first brewer after me, our distributors were telling us our beers were too aggressive and too big, and if we really wanted to sell beer, we needed to make something that was a little more approachable. And honestly, I didn't really know what that was because I didn't have a lot of experience with that kind of beer. But our brewer said, hey, I made this honey cream ale as a home brewer. Maybe we can try it here. Long story short, it's probably 40% of what we sell.
I believe it. Yeah.
And it's interesting to me because I don't think it's lager-like. I mean, it's orange and it's not yellow, and it has not really changed, except we used to add the honey post-fermentation, which was really risky.
Right.
And we now add it in the boil. But yeah, it's our biggest seller. It's what people want.
I could see that.
So you do actually use honey, not honey malt or something like that?
Well, we use both. We use a little bit of honey malt. We sort of dialed back the honey just, again, cost-wise, although honey malt's not really cheap either. So, yeah, I'm not sure how accurate it reflects the description on the side of the can. Let's see, white wheat malts, Northern Brew. Yeah, that's still all the same.
What percent of honey malt you think is in there?
I think it's a half. So 25 pounds in a 7-barrel batch, so probably 400 pounds, whatever that percentage is.
All right, so just a touch of that to back up the actual honey.
And it's got instant corn in it.
Okay. See, that's what I was going to say. I was not really tasting the corn. I thought I was tasting just kind of the honey. That you said that you're surprised because it's not really lager-like, but I think that corn sweetness that you usually find maybe in a light American lager or something is replaced by a honey sweetness, and even a palate who's just used to some sweetness is okay with that replication.
I get the corn.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, this is funny. This is the one honey cream ale. Besides I'll sample all of our beers various times at 10 o'clock in the morning. But this is probably the only full can of honey cream ale I'll drink this year.
Right. Maybe you should go get a day job again if you're drinking all that much.
What kind of honey are you guys using? Is it?
Well, it used to be locally sourced, but then that got so unpredictable and variable and both price and availability that we order it just sort of on the web in a bucket.
Okay.
And it's good. I mean, we went through several different iterations of what's going to work, and taking a finger scoop out of the bucket.
Is it a particular kind or just wildflower blend?
Yeah, it's a bastardized. I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
It's not anything hippie organic.
It's another nice beer, and again, I just want to point out you're doing fine with your fermentation. All dry yeast. I think you guys got it dialed in.
Thank you. And that's kind of why we use the dry yeast. I mean, our brewing schedule is fairly predictable, and we buy liquid pitches and reuse it and repitch it. But I can't, if something I'm going to send 20 or 30 barrels out in kegs, cans, whatever, I have to be pretty sure. I have more confidence in our abilities using dry yeast with the distribution beers.
Got it. That makes sense.
And what yeast did you use to make this cream ale? And what
this
temperature?
Is 04.
04?
From Yeah, I guess it's SO4. The English 3.
And what temperature?
68.
68.
Both the Troopers and this beer are the same yeast, same fermentation regime.
Gotcha.
Do you guys do a starter or rehydrate, or you just sprinkle it on the top?
We put it in the brink and push beer out of the fermenter into the brink and hydrate it and push it back in.
Okay.
Got it. Truly dry.
Yeah. So.
Actually, Fermentis said you don't need to rehydrate it anymore. I mean, they were basically like, open the brick up, throw it in the fermenter, seal it back up.
Yeah, I thought I heard that.
Yeah. So you'll just throw the brick into a brink and then do you let it sit with the wort for an hour or two, or how long?
Not that long, 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. And then just push it back
take it around. And then we push beer in and out 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Make sure we get it all. Push it with CO2. Yeah, I mean, it's consistent. That's what I like about dry yeast. I know. And so, unlike, and I teach microbiology at the local community college, so I've got access to a lab, even though we don't have one on site. And I'm confident doing yeast counts and repitching. Not really confident with oxygenation rates. I don't have a flow meter, but I like the reliability of dry yeast again for distribution beers. I sweat about them less.
That's important.
Oh, man. Back in the early days when I was using plastic fermenters and just going by the seat of my pants, I worried about every single keg that left the building.
Right. I bet.
I don't stress like that.
You were using plastic fermenters when you started Pro.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's all I could do. We started this brewery for $15,000.
Wow. Okay.
That includes a $3,000 license.
Wow.
and we ran for basically a year and a half like that.
Truly,
it was terrible. I mean, it was stupid.
Well, you know what? In the end, it worked. So it was. Let's call it half stupid.
I'll call it a win.
Okay. All right. Now we also have another white blaze, and this one is batch 62, and I haven't tried it yet.
We had 87. That was the
first one. Now, do you want me to try it before you talk to me about it?
Well, I'll tell you this. So prior to making this beer, we made our fourth iteration of a kettle sour gose.
Okay.
With lactobacillus.
And ran it through all the same equipment, I think, is what you're getting at here. Yeah.
Same, but Tasty, you just nailed it. Hose.
Just one hose?
Hose. Yeah, we actually have a hose that got bent. And over the last couple of years, every time we look at the hose, we're just like, ugh.
Got it.
It's got a big kink in it. So the only thing I can figure is lacto got trapped and that hose is probably cracked or something on the inside of it where it's not completely smooth. It's the only thing, and I've plated it with different kinds of media and swiped everything I can swipe and analyzed everything I can do on my own, and I just bought a $1,000 hose. Let's put that way.
Well, I'll tell you what. The only thing I think that's wrong with this beer is that the can doesn't indicate what it is anymore for you. So you're kind of fucked up, maybe. But
you're a liar.
But I like this beer.
Well, thank you. And everybody has said that. People are affectionately referring to it as sour cream.
Mm-hmm.
Which is disgusting, right? But
no, that would have been a great marketing name, actually.
Well, we pulled it all, and the unfortunate thing is it's in this can, like you just said. It's not beer. So we actually had to do a recall. I mean, some of it made it to market, and it's funny. You looked at Untappd, and a lot of people are like, "This is great. It's sour." We see people at accounts ordering the beer and like smiling after they get it, while we're grimacing because we know what they're getting ready to get.
Right.
We couldn't get the distributor to pull everything, so there are some of these actually still on tap because some of the kegs got out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a real learning experience, and the icing on the cake. My brewer's 66 years old. He's been brewing since '89. He's won one bronze GABF medal back in the day, but he really wants some. So I've been entering this beer in a lot of competitions. I sent these cans to GABF, and I just got the score sheets back.
Oh man!
Everybody's like, great sour beer.
Yeah.
Not style.
Yeah, you're like, if only I could have changed the category at the last minute.
Yeah, but we discovered it kind of while all of this was happening at the same time.
Yeah, that's a bummer, dude.
Well, and I think the reason
it isn't. I've learned a lot,
Mm-hmm. I mean, did you though, or you just learned the one thing, which is to use different equipment for sour beer?
It's a big one thing.
Well, not a bent hose, I guess. That's about it.
Lacto, I don't know that it's a different equipment issue. Maybe it is. Maybe that's but I think I had a hose that had problems.
Yeah.
The soft goods it's a good safety measure to keep them separate.
Yeah, well, let's hope that was the problem.
So did this lactobacillus character grow in the fermenter, or was this all post-ferment?
What's crazy? So we packaged this up to packaging. This was fine. We've actually we had beer in our serving vessel that we were still selling. That was fine. What happened was distribution was delayed by a few days in like August. So it set for 2 or 3 days and got up to 80, 90 degrees and sped the whole process up.
Got it.
The beer that went out to distribution and was exposed, because some of it's not. Some of this same batch made it into distribution, never got warm, and sped that process up, which is interesting because so now what you can, instead of kettle souring, can you do a hot lacto post-fermentation treatment in a fermenter at 82 days and have the same result?
Good point.
Use the right hose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll sell that hose for.
Yeah, you hang on to that thing.
Yeah. You can either call it sour cream or King Toes, whichever one looks better on a can.
Kinky.
And
well, yeah, I do think it's not a bad beer. It's a clean lacto.
Yeah.
It's something. I mean, we were able to sort of at least pinpoint this in a direction.
Right.
It's somewhere between the fermenter and the brew house. So it could have been a lot worse. We actually have had that infection problem in the past that we, nearly destroyed the whole brewery.
Wow.
Yeah. This is way better than that.
Well, yeah, you kind of hit it on the head when you said it's a clean lacto. That's why the people still getting the beer were still smiling and saying this is a good beer. Hell, if you added a dash of Brett to it, it'd be even better.
Well, it's funny that one of the GABF judges said this beer has bread in it, and I thought this happened in 2 days.
Right.
I'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, I wouldn't think so, from what I understand.
Well, you can plate it and find out.
I see that you used shrink-wrapped cans. Have you thought about just cutting off the labels and re-shrinking some new branding on it?
Well, it's like one of my partners says. He's like, it is honey cream ale. I mean, label-wise,
right?
Legality-wise, it's we don't have that issue. We've thought about pouring it into glasses in the tasting room.
Yeah, just serving the tasting room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So far, I've just been giving it away to my friends. We've got probably 250 cases of it.
I'd go even more.
But I like the removing the shrink wrap. That's a good idea.
Or I'd go even more guerrilla marketing and go get some Avery labels and just stick those on there that says also sour.
Like the censored that Lagunitas did with the Chronic.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? People will think it's so weird that you definitely did it intentionally, like that you put some stupid Times New Roman Avery labels stuck on there. You might sell the crap out of it. But it's still a good beer.
This has all been very recent.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a good taproom only sale, like 6 packs at a time,
right?
Like an event. Make an event out of it, and broadcast the fact that hey, this is a sour beer. You can buy 6 packs of it. You can't buy it in stores anywhere. This is it, and see what happens.
You can even call it, Chris fucked up party.
Yeah, Chris got his hose bit
again
like a jackass.
And
you can call it Lagunitas sucks. Oh wait, that's taken.
What's that, Chris?
I would say you can appreciate this because anything that happens that's bad in this whole business is Chris fucked up. Even though whether or not it had anything to do with it.
That's right. It's your fault. Jamil taught me that.
Yeah,
it's your damn fault, and I'm glad you own it too.
But anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed the flavor.
It's good. Well, now
it's honest. That's what happened.
And I didn't try it first. And Bevo said, "Hey, Chris wants us to try that last because there was an issue with it." And so I was expecting it to be one of those learning experiences where I had to taste a shitty beer, and you'd tell me what went wrong. So I was pleasantly surprised that I got to taste a good beer, and you tell me what went wrong.
Not intentionally.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff. Chris, I want to thank you for being on the program with us and talking to us and being so honest, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, thanks for having me. It's I hate to say it's a dream come true, but it's really a dream come true to be on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, that's very nice to hear. And it was a pleasure to talk to you.
You have a terrible dream.
Yeah.
Well, now he has to come up with a new one.
Shoot higher.
I look forward to listening to the rest of the show with Gary.
All right. Hey, thanks very much, folks. You can go to wolfhillsbrewing.com and check it out. Chris, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. That's Chris Burcher, the founder of Wolf Hills Brewing Company. What a cool story. And like I said, I like it when guys come in here and actually tell us what happened.
Right.
Me too.
They're slugging it out for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
crazy.
Well, we are going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Gary Glass. While you're hanging out, if you're sitting in front of a computer, you can go to greatfermentations.com. They've got the largest catalog of Blickman products on the web, and their staff is some of the best trained in the business using those products. They've got top-notch customer service and same-day shipping on a lot of their items. Check them out at greatfermentations.com, and be sure to like them on Facebook at GR8 Fermentation, and find them on Instagram and Twitter as well under the same thing, GR8 Fermentation. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll take a real quick break. When we come back, Gary Glass, the director of the American Homebrewers Association, will be on the program with us. We're going to talk about the 40th anniversary of the AHA and homebrewing, as well as what's happening in the homebrew legislation world. Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
Listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending mash and boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zanisha, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
Hey, what's up? This is Blake from Creature Comforts. You're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
Yes, welcome back to the program, and thanks so much for hanging out with us. Go check out whitelabs.com. Pure liquid yeast means better beers. White Labs boasts the highest concentration of yeast in the industry thanks to their patented flex cell technology and pure pitch packaging. The yeast contained and delivered using these innovations are propagated in all grain wort, providing the perfect nutrients for growth and optimal performance. With White Labs Pure Liquid Yeast, your finished beers will meet the high-quality flavor profiles that you intend to produce. Discover the White Labs difference over at whitelabs.com/yeastbank to find the perfect strain for your next beer. That's whitelabs.com/yeastbank. All right, and thanks again to Wolf Hills Brewing Company for being on the program. That was a good conversation. And right now, one of our favorites in the industry, Mr. Gary Glass is on the line with us. Hey, Gary.
Hey, how you doing, Justin?
I'm doing well. It's good to have you back on the show. Still the director of the Homebrewers Association?
As of 5 o'clock when I left, I was still on the job. So
nice.
Yeah, I am. I believe so.
Oh, you haven't heard?
Glad to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. We
check your Twitter.
Of course, you can go to homebrewersassociation.org and check things out. You can also sign up for a membership, as you should do if you're a home brewer, through the Brewing Network. Just click the AHA link. And what are we doing right now? We're actually giving away a couple free books. Use BN 2018, and you get 2 free books, Wild Brews and Farmhouse Ales. Just make sure you click the AHA link on the left side of the BrewingNetwork.com homepage. And, you get a couple free things out of that. So, Gary, I assume this has passed for you already, but the Homebrewers Association is turning 40.
Well, Thank you.
Let's be honest.
First things first.
Yeah.
Yes, we are turning 40 on December 7th. So, 40th anniversary of the American Homebrewers Association. That is the day that Charlie Papazian and Charlie Mattson, his partner in founding the American Homebrewers Association, published the first issue of Zymergy magazine.
Got it. What did that magazine look like? Do you know? Like page-wise and, you know.
It was basically a newsletter, had some staples in it.
Right.
And, it was 12 pages.
12 pages, though. That's
Wow.
ambitious.
Yeah.
And do you know anything about like how or where they distributed that? Was it maybe just to the local club or?
No, actually, I've done a few interviews with Charlie to kind of get the scoop on the early days of the AHA, and he actually spent a lot of time in the library, the public library in Boulder, Colorado, going through phone books for the entire nation and finding every single homebrew supply shop in the country.
Wow.
And they mailed them out to all of those shops.
That's pretty smart, actually, like thinking back about it.
Using a library. Even the word library. Like, I don't understand.
What is a library? Bulletin boards.
But even just thinking about how to get the word out was kind of like, well, there must be some homebrew shops, and I bet I can find them all, and let's just send it to there.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, what else?
The amount of effort that went into that, and like you said, Charlie Papazian, he's a pretty smart guy.
Right, that he is. I mean,
there's a reason why we're still around. We've been around for 40 years.
I mean, he's
hopefully
literally
we continue to be around even after he exits next year.
Right. I mean, the guy is literally a rocket scientist, isn't he? Wasn't he like a nuclear engineer or something?
He was a nuclear engineer.
Right.
Were there already kind of an underground
nuclear-powered rockets yet?
Okay. Right.
Was there already an underground infrastructure ready for homebrewing for when the law became legal, to where like these shops were ready to go and there was already this network, or did the AHA start it?
To a certain extent, but home winemaking was legal after Prohibition. And so most of the homebrew supply shops were probably selling more wine-making equipment. But there was actually an association for those shops called the Home Wine and Beer Trade Association that had been around for a while. It's not around anymore, but it was actually a partnership with the HWBTA and the AHA that founded the Beer Judge Certification Program.
Oh, that's crazy.
Huh.
So they were ready.
Right, yeah. Nothing was happening,
right,
but they were ready.
and
Yeah.
the timing with the legalization of homebrewing, which happened in October, that was when the bill passed in October of 1978. It was totally coincidental that the two Charlies founded the AHA just a couple of months later.
Got it. So that's what I was going to ask next. That legalization. I was wondering about the date. So that's October. But it was. Why do you think it was coincidental? Are you saying Charlie didn't have a heavy hand in that legalization?
Charlie was not involved in that legalization process. It was actually Senator Alan Cranston from California who got the amendment added on to. There was an omnibus transportation bill. So, Jimmy Carter gets a lot of credit for this, but really, Senator Alan Cranston is the guy who got this done, along with Representative William Steiger. He sponsored the House version of the homebrew bill, and so those two really are the people who should be given credit for the legalization of homebrew. Because honestly, I don't even know if Jimmy Carter knew that the homebrew legalization was in this bill, because it was a big bill, mostly dealing with trucks and buses. And that's kind of just the way that things work in Washington, D.C. Like, oh, we want this to get done. Let's shove it into this thing that the president will sign.
Well, who was pushing Alan Cranston's button about being, let's get a law passed?
Yeah, who was in his ear, exactly?
Oddly enough, Ted Bundy, which is weird.
Well, he was from Southern California, and so I'm not sure which. I believe that there was some maybe the winemaker shop in where the Maltose Falcons meet.
Maybe a retail.
I believe that might have been where that got started. But he was definitely an advocate for it.
I heard that before.
And I believe that California actually passed a state bill before the federal bill legalizing homebrewing.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
So Charlie's plan was to make a national organization for an illegal activity.
And
it just coincidentally 2 months before became legal.
Yeah, we do that kind of thing in Colorado.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you do.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Also, I knew I loved Charlie for a reason. Yeah.
He actually had an ATF agent show up at one of the classes. So before he started the AHA, he was given homebrewing classes at the Boulder Free College, and he actually had an ATF agent show up for one of his classes. Like he was the only one dressed in a suit.
Undercover.
Boulder, Colorado, beer homebrew class, dude in a suit, kind of keyed him off that something wasn't right.
But didn't the guy then just leave like nothing to see here?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I mean, they were probably really looking to see if people were brewing to sell it at that time, like moonshining or something, right?
Yeah, and that's really more of what the ATF, now TTB, are much more interested. I mean, there's no money for the government to make off of busting homebrewers,
right?
And it's the Tax and Trade Bureau. They're interested in collecting taxes and handing out fines. So there's not much money in going after homebrewers.
Right. You know, I've grown to like Charlie more and more over the years. Not that I didn't love him in the beginning, but recently I've just maybe even just listened to him talk more recently, and I love hearing him talk about the history at last year's HomebrewCon. When you guys brought him out on a cloud.
On a cloud, yeah.
Which was just something else. I'm sure there's video of that on HomebrewCon.org somewhere. And then he stood up there and talked for a good amount of time, and he's just fascinating to listen to about the history. He's got great stories. He's a nice storyteller, but so much has happened in the 40 years.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. And I just feel so privileged to have gotten to spend the last 19 years of my career with the AHA. We were working when I first got hired. The office I was working in was just across the hall from him. And I distinctly remember when I was applying for the job. It was like the administrator. So Paul Gatz was the director of the AHA back then, and I hadn't even heard of the AHA. I'd seen Zymergy magazine. I've been homebrewing for several years, and I called up with my buddy who I taught how to homebrew, who went on to become a professional brewer, and I'm like, hey, I'm applying for this job with the American Homebrewers Association. He's like, oh, yeah, Charlie Papazian's foundation. I'm like,
wow.
What? Charlie Papazian?
Yeah.
Charlie Papazian?
Where did you hear about the job? Was it just in a listing somewhere?
Actually, my girlfriend at the time found an ad in the newspaper. I was in grad school at the University of Colorado, and she's like, "Hey, you're a homebrewer. You should apply for this American Homebrewers Association job."
Wow.
Yes, I should.
Look at your life, Gary. You're still in college, stumble across this thing, and you spend 19 years at the Homebrewers Association. That's amazing.
I do not deny that I have some luck in my life.
Yeah, and skill, too. Obviously, you made it to where you are because of that. Now, so what's happening for the 40th celebration? Anything in particular you guys are doing to celebrate 40 years?
Yeah. So we just published the the November-December issue of Zymergy magazine. So that's kind of our 40th anniversary of the issue. We totally redesigned the magazine, make it look a little more modern, and changed up some of the departments so that just better address the current homebrewer.
It's looking good.
And then we'll definitely have a series on HomebrewsAssociation.org, kind of bringing up some of these milestones in AHA history coming up, and then we have something special planned for the actual day, December 7th.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I assume you'll keep us posted on that.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
If I have to.
If I think
nothing ahead of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm a busy man, Justin. Come on.
Well, now, by something special, do you mean just at the office there, or like for everybody?
No, for everybody.
Okay. But you're not
live
going
stream of Song Charlie in Half. That'd be real weird.
Right. They get more risque every year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it. Now, what about? Are there any legislative issues you're hard at work on for us right now, too?
Unfortunately, there are always legislative issues that we're working on. So the most pressing one has been in North Carolina. Last year, they passed a homebrew bill, which we thought was a great homebrew bill. It was going to be, everything we really wanted. And then then the alcohol beverage control decides they have to make rules to enforce this law, and it turns out that there are things that homebrewers do which happen to conflict with some of the other laws in the alcohol code that don't have anything to do with homebrewing, but do have to do with like storage of alcohol that's unlicensed or that's not to be sold. And so things like how long you can store beer to homebrew at a brewery for a competition, or can you have your beer dropped off in one spot and then have somebody else transport it to another spot? So, lots of competitions use drop-off locations.
Okay.
And then have the beer. So those kinds of things that you don't necessarily think about, and particularly unless you are extremely well-versed in the hundreds of pages of alcohol code, which even like the legislators aren't that well tuned into it.
Of course.
It's easy for these things that to arise after a bill is passed, but their alcohol beverage control has kind of been sticklers for some of these little nuances. But
wait, can we go back to the one I thought you said about like how long you can store beer? Are you telling me that there was like a law that kept me from keeping my beer fresh? Like if I just stored it at my house for too long?
No.
Okay.
It's not about. It's all about on licensed premises.
Okay.
So it's the fact that this is not. It goes back to that whole tax thing we were talking about. It's beer that's not going to be sold by that brewery. So they're very concerned about has the taxes been paid on this beer that's stored in this brewery that they're going to sell, and do they have the proper license for that? So those kinds of things that we as homebrewers don't really think about, and now we're bringing in this unlicensed, untaxed alcohol onto premises that is licensed and does have to pay taxes.
Okay,
got to keep those things separate, and it just gets really complicated. But the beautiful thing in this story is the alcohol beverage control is, they're very nice people, but they were drawing a very hard line on this rulemaking. But there's this process where they have to publish proposed rules and people can comment on it. So we had a comment period, and they had a hearing, and there was a whole bunch of homebrewers that showed up for this hearing, and a lot of homebrewers that submitted comments. And, coming out of that hearing, the homebrewers that were there were saying that they didn't think that alcohol beverage control was going to budge, but they just recently amended some of the proposals. So things like having those drop-off sites for competitions is looking like they're a lot better than what we thought we were going to see. So it's a really a testament to what can happen when you mobilize people and making phone calls to, in this case, regulators, but frequently with legislators, and sending emails and making suggestions. Those things can have a positive effect.
Okay.
So, that's one of the things that really inspires me about being a part of the American Homebrewers Association and the important role that we play within the homebrewing community is, we can help mobilize our members as needed. We can provide the information on how the legislative process works when issues arise, and so it's gratifying to see that it actually worked. It's not going to be exactly what we would like it to be, and perhaps we'll work with the homebrewers in North Carolina to come up with another bill, but at least it's looking like it's not going to be nearly as bad as what we thought we were going to see.
That's good. Well, it's nice to see reason prevail too. When like you said, they're not there just to be mean or obtuse, so they can see some reason here. And then, like you said, if people mobilize and help get that message out, I bet it is gratifying to see that change.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a good experience for these regulators as well, because typically what your average alcohol beverage control, they're not involved with people who are doing things right when they get involved, particularly when they're dealing with homebrewers. When they have to deal with homebrewers, it's because they're doing something illegal, whether they know it or not. But so the impression they have of homebrewers is frequently negative, because typically the interaction with an alcohol beverage control and a homebrewer is a homebrewer who's selling their beer.
Yeah, okay.
And that makes us all look bad. And so, that we have that experience in Colorado, where, the involvement that our alcohol beverage control had with homebrewers was negative. And then met with me and met with, I kind of explained how homebrewers worked, and he got to interact with a few more. And
what was that? What was that issue that was coming up?
Okay. It was dealing with transport of homebrew was the primary issue.
Okay.
And that's a real typical one of, whenever you're bringing homebrew onto licensed premises, that's when you're now bringing unlicensed, untaxed alcohol into a place that's regulated to sell alcohol that has been taxed and is regulated. So it gets really complicated.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem like it should be, but it is. It's just the way that alcohol codes are written, and they're written so that the state can get their cut of taxes. And
right. Okay. And what we were talking about this at the beginning of the show, we were trying to figure out, JP and I seem to recall that there was even a recent, and this didn't have much to do with homebrew, just beer in the state of Colorado. Did you guys recently have to rate, was there a limit on ABV bottles that could be sold in Colorado?
In grocery stores.
Just, that's what it was, just grocery stores.
Yeah, so in Colorado we have most of the beer sold is sold through liquor stores.
Yeah.
And in the grocery store, you can buy 3-2 beer.
Right.
I don't do that. I haven't done that since we passed the laws that legalized Sunday sales. Because every once before we didn't have Sunday sales and had no beer. It's all right, well, I guess I'm buying 3-2 beer.
I guess I'm drinking 12 instead of 6 tonight. Yeah, and that was a pain. Even when I'm out there, what's a pain in the ass is you got to make 2 stops. You go do your Sunday grocery shopping, but then you also got to go to the liquor store to buy if you want beer. So what did they do?
Yeah, but
go ahead.
But the cool thing about what the way things are set up in Colorado, and this is actually transitioning, is that you can only own one retail liquor license for off premises. So meaning like a bottle shop. So all the liquor stores are like basically mom and pop operations, and obviously some are better than others, but they have recently transitioned, passed a law to transition that out so that they are going to start allowing for multiple retail licenses, and grocery stores will begin to start carrying full-strength beer.
Okay.
Which, from a consumer standpoint, sounds good, but from those, like you were talking to Chris about the hyper-local thing,
yeah.
Well, from their perspective, if they're not dealing with it, they're too small to deal with a distributor, but they can get their beer into their local liquor store. They can be packaging a very small amount and still be able to sell. But
yeah, that's a good point.
That becomes more difficult when you're having to deal with like Kroger.
Yeah, for the brewers too, and for the mom and pops. And I always thought of that. That's a double-edged sword too. I thought it was nice for if a mom and pop liquor store could open because like Gary was saying, you could only hold one license. So even a mom and pop couldn't open 3 liquor stores.
Yeah, they didn't have,
there's no chain.
Moe's or Total Wines.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not. Forget that. I'm just even talking about owning multiple locations as a small business owner.
Individual.
You couldn't even. So, like I said, double-edged sword. Yes, you could open your one store and be protected by major competition from a BevMo, but you also couldn't expand your business into 3 stores across a very large town.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, so it just kind of
was that the case with like bars and like where you're doing draft retail sales, or was it just beer to go?
Yeah, it's just off premise.
That's such a weird distinction.
Yeah,
like why?
Beer to go.
Why was the law that
it's
way?
odd.
Yeah,
and actually the Colorado Brewers Guild was fighting to keep it the way it was.
Oh,
because because their members can get their beer into those mom and pop stores, but
right.
Only their bigger members are going to be able to negotiate with the grocery stores.
The change.
The other thing I found interesting was that the grocery stores, for example, if you were a chain, you could get a license like that, but only one. And you have to correct me if I'm wrong here, Gary, but like a Safeway, for example. There's I don't know how many Safeways there are in Colorado. Yeah. One of them could sell all the things. They would have to choose what the one is. Is that about right, Gary?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So Whole Foods has one liquor location. Now the liquor store cannot be in the grocery store. So Whole Foods does have a liquor store next to a Whole Foods, but it's not in the Whole Foods.
I see.
And then I believe Trader Joe's also has a similar thing where they've got a liquor store, but it's also the reason why we don't see the total beverages that are not in Colorado, because they can't open multiple stores.
Right.
If for a state that's so heavily regulated like that, it seems weird that everyone's so laid back. Like, I would be super anxious about doing my shopping and like all that kind of stuff. I would just, I don't know that I would do anything. I guess I would homebrew.
But I like that you say that, Jake, because I was just thinking about this the other day with the midterm elections. Like, Colorado's a weird state, right? It's kind of a blue state. It's kind of a red state. It's kind of a completely liberal state, and kind of absolutely not.
Right. Yeah.
And it really depends on which direction you drive for 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah. I think you're right. Build a wall, but just 3 feet high.
Right. I mean, right, Gary? I love it, actually. But what an interesting state Colorado is.
Yeah. Well, a third of the voters in Colorado are independent, and so that's
interesting.
That's where the dynamic is. Those are very independently thinking people,
right?
And I think overall that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, it's a cool state, just for, if nothing else, just to watch. But I like being there, but boy, do I love watching it when legal issues come up. It's very interesting. Well, hey, before we got to go, Gary, what about HomebrewCon in 2019? I know it's a little ways away, but Providence, Rhode Island, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll be the first time since 1991 that we've had HomebrewCon in New England. So we're really excited to be bringing HomebrewCon to Providence.
Yeah. Really
great city. It's got a good beer scene. It's got a really excellent culinary scene. The Johnson Wales University is based there. And so it's, talking about independent businesses, they have the downtown where the convention center has just a ton of independent restaurants, and obviously you're going to get amazing seafood there. But I'm really excited to be there, and we're an hour away from Boston.
Right.
It's this little town, really nice city, but it's only an hour train ride away from Boston, and so I think it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited to be in New England and to be able to bring the conference there. It's been 28 years, way too long to be to have gone from that part of the country.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it too. So I'm from New England, and Providence is an awesome place to go. I used to go there when I was a kid. It's super cool, and to me, it's a double-edged sword too, because for the first time, like, a bunch of my family can come to our anniversary party.
So they're going to see you in action.
Yeah, and then at the same time, my family can come to the anniversary party.
Yeah.
Crosley reunion.
Do you know who I am? I am Justin's third cousin. You will overserve me right now.
Actually, you have no idea. So my dad has been. He's flown around to certain ones.
Yeah.
Dad's cool.
Yeah.
But like the aunts and uncles and shit, they're weird people.
Is this like an Uncle Tony situation?
I wish it was Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony's not around anymore, but like at least a couple of my aunts and cousins are just a pain in the ass, and they will walk around like, this is my party. It's Justin's part. It's my nephew. That's my cousin. I can have what I want. It'll be a little fucking weird.
That East Coast attitude?
Yeah.
Can we get some story time?
Is it Aunt Deb?
Having them tell stories?
I love her. I love her. She's my favorite.
But, okay, so that's my personal issue. But Providence is a...
That's your sole personal issue?
It's just one issue.
Wow.
On this topic.
Yeah, Gary has known me a while, hasn't he?
It has been a long time.
Providence is a kick-ass place, so I'm also excited about that. I think you guys made a good choice there. We are already planning our 14th anniversary party for the event, too, to go along with HomebrewCon like we always do. We've been, I think, blessed and lucky enough to be able to always coincide with HomebrewCon. So that our listeners don't have to choose, right? You get to go to both.
You do both. No choice.
So go to...
you actually have no choice.
Yes, you have to do
have
both.
to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, Gary, since you wouldn't tell me, I won't tell you, we've got a big surprise for our HomebrewCon, too. And I'll release that as soon as I can. But it's a big surprise, and I'm excited about it. So... Also happening there in Providence. So,
yeah. Well, I'm also really glad that you're doing your event on Saturday, because this year in Portland was the first time I've ever been to the anniversary party.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I just can't afford to go before the conference starts, because then I'm going to be wrecked the whole conference week. And I just I can't. I haven't been able to do that to myself because I'm smart. At least I tell myself that.
Yeah, you're right. When we used to do it on Wednesday, the physical cost was far too expensive.
It's true.
For us also, but we just had to do it. Yeah, I'm happy about that. Of course, HomebrewCon made some changes. You guys don't do the large dinner banquet on Saturdays anymore, and in favor of getting everybody into the awards ceremony and then a little after party to celebrate after that, right?
Yeah, exactly. When we were doing the banquet, we were limited on space and the amount of people we could feed, and the number of people who wanted to spend the extra money for it. And so we'd end up with only about a third of the attendees that were attending the banquet, and everybody else would attend the last seminar, and then off they would go. It's so we like this system where we we can get everybody together for a social event after the conference and send them off to your party.
I love it. I love being the final party. I think it's good all around. And Gary, it was nice for me too to get to hang out with you and have a beer at the end of the week to talk about everything and get to hang out. That was cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, folks, you can go to HomebrewCon.org. There'll be event updates there. It's in Providence, Rhode Island, June 27th through the 29th. And then the Brewing Network's anniversary party, BNA 14, will happen on the night of the 29th. And we'll give you details about that as soon as we have it. The Homebrewers Association will give you more details about when you can buy tickets and everything else. But I think I did see today, Gary, that you're doing a call for presentations right now, right?
Yes. So the call for proposals for the sessions during the during HomebrewCon is open through, I want to say December 17th is our deadline for that.
Okay.
So that's also the information on that is all on HomebrewCon.org.
Got it.
Can we do one on a presentation on how to start a trade organization for homebrewers? That would be appropriate. Or would that get rejected?
What do you could propose that.
I mean, I think it's the local committee that accepts these things, JP.
Like, I'd really love to talk about that.
Yeah.
I've actually given that talk, but it was in. I just gave that talk in Santiago, Chile, not too long ago.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
Sounds cold.
So if you think you've got some great knowledge to share, that's one of the biggest. Actually, let me take that back. That's the biggest part of HomebrewCon is that you go, there are these seminars where you get to go and learn about all different aspects of home brewing. In fact, I think even sometimes pro brewing. But if you've got some knowledge to share, just go to HomebrewCon.org and you've got just over a month to submit a proposal for what you'd like to speak about. And they're usually pretty darn interesting. So do that. That's how you can give back.
Yeah, well, and if you're a member of the AHA, you can go on HomebrewsAssociation.org and check out some of the recordings from past HomebrewCon.
That's right. Okay, and then if you're not a member, just go to thebrewingnetwork.com, click the AHA link. It's on the left side of our homepage under Support the BN. And if you use our coupon code BN2018, you're going to get 2 free books, Wild Brews and Farmhouse Ales. Plus, of course, your membership gets you a subscription to Zymergy Magazine. All the other benefits of being a member, not the least of which is the awesome Brew Guru app, which is going to tell you how to get pretty much, actually, more than all the dollars you spent on your membership, which is not that expensive, you get in discounts all over the place, including right here at the Hop Grenade, at your favorite homebrew shops like More Beer. The membership pays for itself in a lot of ways. So just click that link and use coupon code BN2018. Long-time partnership with the AHA, Gary. I'm always happy to be with you guys.
Yeah, hey, well, that was a great promo for AHA membership. I appreciate that. And so, for everybody who's doing that, you click on that link. You're supporting the American Homebrewers Association and the Brewing Network all at one time. Get great benefits, and you can feel good about it.
That's true. You do, yeah.
We'll allow you to feel good about it.
Right.
You don't have a choice.
Because let's be honest, if we do nothing for you, the AHA will. So it's a great way to support us, and then they'll do all the work for us.
We're pretty much
and
farming
if nobody
all that
joins the AHA, I won't have a job.
Right. That's right. And then, and that'll be your last interview, Gary. I'll interview you when you get canned or whatever, because it'll be interesting, and then I'll never talk to you again.
That's really sad.
Right? Yeah, you just broke his heart.
And maybe it's also some sort of push that Gary needs to find a new job.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, really? That's all I had to do?
Yeah.
Sorry, let me rephrase it.
Please click the link.
I'll never talk to you again on the air.
Yeah.
There we go. Still sad.
What if I could go on and do great things in the brewing world, though?
Yeah. No,
but that's not going to happen. I'm not going to lose my job.
Right.
I'm a career
I know.
Brewers Association employee.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Plus, you'll be dead to me once you leave the AHA. I don't know why. I've drawn that line in the sand.
Well, once we release this video, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
The great Gary Glass, ladies and gentlemen. Go over to homebrewcon.org, find out more about that. And like we said, sign up for the AHA through the Brewing Network. It's a great way to help both of us, and I'm proud to be a part of this organization. Thanks, Gary.
Hey, thank you, Justin. Great to be with you.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
There you go, everybody. Gary Glass, good guy, fun guy.
Great kisser.
Great kisser. Yeah. Boy, can that boy kiss.
Whatever you want. Aggressive, consensual,
dry, wet.
Yeah, fucking scary. Sometimes it's dry and wet at the same time.
Whoa.
He's very accommodating.
He's a professional.
He really is.
All right. What do I got to do right here? Let me see which one was there. Okay. Hey, this segment has been brought to you. Burn. I was doing I was doing great for most of the show.
You're doing all right.
This segment's been brought to you by craftbeer.com, whose mission it is to tell the stories behind America's small and independent breweries and the cities and businesses that support them. It's a community full of passion, authenticity, creativity, and camaraderie. Explore the world of American craft beer at craftbeer.com. What's next? I thought I had a break here, but I don't.
We've done 2 breaks.
Yeah, no more break. I was going to do a little bit of beer news, though. You want to do that before we do the Twitter game results?
Yep.
It's quick.
You're quick.
Who's that brought to us by?
Beer news?
Let's just make it brought to us by craftbeer.com. I can make it...
I thought you had another one.
Fuck it. I'll do them after. All right. Yeah, I brought this one up because I knew we'd be talking about small versus big craft beer, and there's some of the problems that small brewers have, big brewers also have. Pabst is in trouble.
Oh, that's right.
You read about this?
Yeah, a little bit.
I just saw the headline.
Yeah, a battle is brewing between Pabst and Miller Coors. So apparently, Pabst signed a contract to contract brew, as a matter of fact, between Miller Coors back in 1999, and that contract is set to expire in 2020. So Miller Coors has been doing, I'm not going to say all, but the vast majority of Pabst brewing. And in fact, I think up until a couple of years ago, now they might be doing all of it. But Miller Coors is now saying it has less capacity for brewing and is not obligated to renew the deal. As I said, the deal's set to expire in 2020 with 2 options to renew. But Miller Coors is saying that they're not obligated to renew that deal. However, Pabst says that they're doing this to hurt them and eliminate the competition, so they've actually sued them. And the trial is costing them nearly $500 million.
$500 million?
Yeah.
That's a lot of hipster money, dude.
That's a lot of tall boys.
Maybe I should... I don't know that it's costing them that. But Pabst is seeking more than $400 million in damages. That's what it is. Because they're asking Miller Coors to work in good faith to help find a solution, even if the company no longer has enough capacity. The deal is, in 2016, Miller Coors closed a 1.3 million square foot brewery in North Carolina. That one had a capacity of more than 8.8 million barrels per year. Pabst says it needs just 4 to 4.5 million barrels to stay in business. There's also potentially another brewery closing in California for Miller Coors and possibly more. But Pabst says that they're actually doing it to eliminate the competition.
Get rid of that brand, huh?
As Miller Coors' market share declines in some of their major brands, including Coors Light.
What obligation is Miller Coors to keep Pabst alive? Like, what? How is there even a lawsuit over that?
Yeah, so I agree. And in fact, I believe Paul Gatza with the Brewers Association was quoted in this article to say that, once capacity issues get there, that a brewery might not be obligated to do anything. So that really is going to come down to either A, what the contract says, which I would be fairly certain that Miller Coors is comfortable that the contract doesn't say it, or if a court decides that there are extenuating circumstances that would obligate Miller Coors to renew the contract. And if one of those extenuating circumstances, for example, is that Miller Coors is lying about the amount of capacity that they have, then they might be obligated by the court to renew the contract.
But wouldn't that have to be required in the contract? Because even if there isn't a requirement for them to give a reason why they're not renewing.
I believe that what it says in the contract, without seeing all the words, just according to what I read, is that the 2 renewals are based on a good faith attempt by Miller Coors to renew the contract.
Okay, so that's written in.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
As far as I understand. So if not in good faith, they're saying we don't have capacity anymore, but Pabst could prove that they actually do. Well, then they might be obligated to renew.
Then that's a violation of their contract.
Yeah, I would be surprised if a contract, doesn't have some sort of clause for something exactly like this, for capacity.
Right.
Like, we're contracting you to make 500 billion barrels of our beer, and if you can't make that, then you've broken the contract.
Yeah,
I mean that's so your capacity issues aren't my problem. Like I'm paying you to make my beer. Why aren't you making my beer?
Maybe, although you would think, I think you're right that this must be discussed in the contract, right? And we don't have the full contract.
Well, it's worked for 20 years, so
right.
I assume that there were some capacity ups and downs during that period.
Right. And we're not even talking about that long ago. So in 1999, these smart people that are in the macro beer business, and let's face it, they are smart, have anticipated these situations, both that Pabst might need more capacity and that Miller Coors might have less. Maybe they would have thought that in 99. Who knows? So I would, there's got to be some verbiage in there. But then again, if Miller Coors could prove that they are simply out of capacity...
Which I don't believe.
Yeah. Well, I think that's now that's Pabst's position, right?
Yeah.
Or if they're shutting down breweries, then their capacity is decreasing.
It is, but
and then is Coors obligated to then reinvest money and then expand production just off of this contract?
Right.
Or for their contract brewing for Pabst?
But as with any contract brewer, you are limiting yourself to the business model of somebody else, right?
Right.
And so if this wasn't called for in the contract, and if Pabst can't prove any wrongdoing or a lack of good faith, Pabst could be... maybe not out of business, but reduced in business. Who knows what they could come to?
Start brewing in Russia?
So
or just get another
producer.
Yeah, Budweiser. I don't know.
Lagunitas.
JP, I'm surprised that you're not more upset about the potential to losing your beloved Pabst.
I've moved on from Pabst. I'm now
entirely.
I'm now a Coors Banquet guy.
Really?
Yeah. So
Well,
sorry.
Pabst capacity might be replaced with Coors Banquet. So
more banquet
I'm all right
for JP.
with that.
Wow. No, that's disappointing.
Wow, no more blue ribbons.
Thought at least I'd get a little tear out of the guy.
Well,
I mean, look, PBR has got me through many days. Many a long day.
Many days. It sounded just like that.
Yeah.
I've been through many days.
Maybe their biggest piece of evidence is, didn't PBR crush Coors at GABF this last year?
It always does.
Well,
every year.
This has been going on for months. Like I remember reading when they were going to like preliminary trials, like earlier in the year. So I think I would personally agree with Pabst. I think it's definitely not a lack of space, but a lack of effort.
Yeah,
like they just don't want to do it. They're not going to renew, which that's fine. That's their option to not renew, but to just not really be doing any of the work.
Right. Well, there you have it. That's our beer news for the day.
Maybe no more. What are the hipsters going to drink then?
I know.
I think Miller High Life is now, oddly enough, supposed to be like the thing.
New hipster beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't tried that one in a while.
Which they're going to be bottling in champagne bottles for New Year's this year.
Oh,
and
nice.
I saw
Good marketing.
Heineken, not Lagunitas Heineken, but Heineken in champagne bottles also at Safeway right now while I was buying Celebration.
Heineken Lager
I don't
in
get
champagne?
the Heineken one, but what a great marketing campaign for Miller High Life.
It's a champagne of beers,
I
bro.
know, yeah, but
Well, that's
Heineken
Coors,
doing it,
but-
that's lame. I don't think it's,
Europeans are lame. What do you want?
I don't know. Not, so are Petalumans? I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Same thing.
Are.
Okay. Hey, if you want to learn a little more about marketing, check out the Branding Brews podcast. It's a deep inside look at everything that revolves around branding and marketing a brewery. Branding Brews interviews industry professionals covering in-depth strategies and topics like labels, packaging, websites, social media content, trademarks, and a lot more. So whether you're in sales or in marketing, or if you own a brewery or you're looking to start a brewery, Branding Brews is a podcast for you. Go to brandingbrews.com or subscribe to the show wherever you like your podcasts. And finally, one of our other wonderful sponsors here, Adam and Eve, looking to spice things up in the bedroom. Go check it out. Go to adamandeve.com right now, and they're giving you the free Big O kit when you use coupon code BNARMY, which is Climax Gel and a mini vibrator. And, of course, you'll get your entire order sent to you for free. So take advantage of this offer. Choose a new adult toy, a naughty movie, or almost anything else. And when you choose that one item, you get 50% off, plus free shipping, plus the Big O kit, which includes all those wonderful things I just told you about. And use coupon code BNARMY. That's BNARMY at checkout. That's BNARMY at adamandeve.com. All right, and how about the results of our Twitter game today, JP?
Well, we had some pretty decent ones, which was basically we are going to eliminate the name The Session. And, in favor of something potentially better. Could be worse. Don't know. Let's find out.
Okay.
Evolution Ales says beer farts and pretzels.
Okay.
That happens. Joseph Smith says the Doc and Justin show. Oh, wait, neither of them are on anymore. Never mind.
Long name, but
Which
I
is a
kind of
long
like
name,
it.
right? Imagine that's your URL. Oh, just go to the Doc and Justin show. Oh, wait, neither are on anymore. .com.
It's catchy.
Steve says we used to love beer. Brought to you by More Beer.
Oh, I like that one too.
Hey, you know what? I didn't change beer. Beer changed. Wait, I didn't change. Beer changed. How about that?
Okay.
Adam says the Monday. Wait, we're still doing this show?
Okay.
That's a good name. Austin says, When Daddy Leaves, a podcast about 3 dudes and a girl learning the ropes of life, beer, and kids, all without their creator.
Wow. Which is, depending on your religion, either me or something else?
Yeah, I don't. It's a good question.
Yeah.
John A. says, The Session Infinity Gauntlet, since half of you have disappeared.
That is not even true.
Which is a Marvel reference, and I get
stable.
it, and I think it's pretty good.
Apparently Stan Lee's in the disappeared half now.
Stanley.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Andrew Boozer says, Extra Special Bitter, hosted by JP.
I get it.
Wow, I kind of like that one a lot. That one snuck up in the rear.
First of all, I like that his name is Boozer.
Yeah.
Probably not his Christian name, but
Doesn't matter. I love
Maybe.
it.
Okay, so I wrote down the Doc and Justin show. Wait, never mind. Neither of them are there anymore. That's basically it, right?
Yep.
You got it.
I like the We Used to Love Beer podcast.
Right.
That one, that's a front runner for me.
But brought to you by More Beer.
Just personally, I like the When Daddy Leaves podcast.
I think that's...
So you're daddy? I see.
Yes.
In this scenario.
Yeah, Daddy.
Yeah, wait.
Leave me, Daddy.
Yeah.
I feel like you always wanted me to call you daddy.
I know.
at some point.
Can you say it another way?
No.
Okay. Anyway, I don't even care. Just use me. Just direct daddy at me in any way.
Definitely not.
Okay.
So close.
Please.
That's fine. I'll cut out that one. It'll work just fine.
Yes.
Put it in the old headphones right now. I'm about to finish. And Extra Special Bitter, hosted by JP. Also a front runner for me.
I'm kind of surprised We Used to Love Beer isn't We Used to Homebrew.
Right.
That would have been much more accurate.
Well, but to me, that's a testament of how much they listen to the nuances of the show and the amount people, JP and Beardy, bitch about beer in general, not even homebrew.
Man, I'm glad you brought it up, dude.
Right.
Beer sucks.
Right.
Man, have you had a beer recently?
No, but have you had spirits?
Yeah.
And
heads and
that's,
tails.
that's
Everybody.
why that's a useful or
A new thing.
a front runner for me.
It is me too, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to narrow it down between...
narrow it.
I do. I'm putting out We Used to Love Beer. Does somebody else want to put out one of the others as the other vote?
I won't vote for it.
You mean throw it out there? Or what
Yeah,
do you mean?
so that we can all vote.
Yeah. No, I think those are good. I think you did...
What's the second one, though? I didn't put forward the second one. We Used to Love Beer?
We used to love beer.
Do you want that to be the second one?
No, you said the Doc and Justin show you wrote down.
I did not. I wrote down 4.
Now we're going down to the final.
I've now put forth We Used to Love Beer.
Got it. I got
and
it.
of the 4 I just mentioned and wrote down, who wants to nominate a second one?
Got it.
The Doc and Justin show.
Okay.
I think that's number 2.
All right. So the Doc and Justin show. Oh wait, neither of them are there anymore.
Never mind.
Never mind. Raise your hand if that's your favorite. No votes. That means We Used to Love Beer is the name of the new session. There we go. I might even consider changing it to
pretty
that.
relevant.
No, yeah.
I think it's a little bit of hook to it, too. People can let's go check that out.
We could at least change that to the name When Daddy's Gone.
That's
you
true.
know what I mean?
Wait, you're daddy in that scenario?
Creator.
Wait, are you my dad?
Hello, are you my father?
Wow, where's... Too bad Moscow's gone. Sound bites galore from this segment. We'll never see him because there's no Moscow
No,
here.
he's gone.
I might have to get Taylor to do it. Okay, did I cover everything else? It looks like I did.
Which was the winner?
Yeah.
We used to love beer.
We used to love beer.
Right.
That's our winner. Going to win something. Bevo will send it to you. You'll get your something soonish. And thank you for playing.
We should name the segment "We used to send out." Shit.
Right, we used to ship prizes.
Excuse me. I do send prizes.
I think it would more accurately be we used to not send prizes, JP, before we got Bevo in charge of this whole thing.
I send out prizes, man, all the time.
Also, just please remember to send me, please remember to email me if you win the Twitter game.
Right.
So I tweet them. I tweet them back. I retweet it, and I say email.
And then sometimes they email me, and then I ask them for their T-shirt size, and then they never respond.
That was the problem I had too, or I would never hear from them. It's like, okay, well, then there you go.
You can only do what you can do.
Follow up or don't bitch. That's the rule around here.
Yep.
All right, next week we got Bale Breaker Brewing Company. They're going to be on the program with us. I want to thank our guest today, Chris Burcher from Wolf Hills Brewing Company. Really enjoyed doing that interview, so I appreciate you being on, Chris. And, I think I'm out of here, and we'll see you next week. Does that sound about right to you, JP?
Sounds good to me, Bray.
All right, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
I forgot my thing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing. I literally have nothing.
Well, you got about 30 seconds to make it up. Do whatever. You know what? Make it interesting. Fuck it. Do what you want.
Thank you very much to our sponsor, More Beer. Thank you very much to our guest, Chris. Thank you very much to everybody listening to the show. And I just want to say that... oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail in the twilight's last gleaming? Oh, say, can... oh, shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy and winning the race. JP does great.